The voice was loud like a bell. The voice was loud like a bell. It exploded. Even the true Saints Hill was slightly shocked. Everyone looked over. Everyone's expression changed. Even Judearan's expression tensed up. The white-browed elder slowly walked over, followed by 17 other similarly white-haired elders. Each of their steps brought with it a layer of white true spirit, which enveloped their entire body, making them look like 18 people. It was the same for immortals. 18 elders. Each of them was a level 9 heavenly saint peak realm. They are the defense presbyters of the secret world. 18 fairies. The disciples and elders in the plaza had all entered the immortal abyss secret world to cultivate, so they were naturally familiar with the 18 of them. Their sudden appearance was something that no one expected. He didn't even dare to speak at this time. Judearan walked down from the seat of honor, and quickly attracted their attention. Even if he disdained the 18 fairies, he still had to give them face, and the Fatri sect had a rule. Once the 18 fairies comes out, his authority would be even greater than the sect master. Defense presbyter, why are all of you here? Judearan went up to greet them, and said with respect, but his heart was secretly nervous, what are these old fellows trying to do? The great guardian senior brother looked at Long Fei, and looked at him very seriously. In his mind, he remembered the scene before the collapse of the Holy Abyss ruins. It's him. At this moment, he was certain that the young man who stepped into the door of spacetime was Long Fei. However, Long Fei did not remember him. Being stared at like this by the white-browed elder made him a little scared, and asked, "What are you looking at? How dare you?" Judearan let out a heavy sound, stared at him, and released a burst of pressure, wanting to crush Long Fei to the ground and kneel down. However, the moment the power on Grand Defense Presbyter's body moved, he immediately blocked Judearan's might and said with a faint smile, "This old man thinks you're familiar." He had unknowingly dissolved Judearan's pressure. Judearan was secretly shocked in his heart. "Old fellow, could it be that you left some tricks up your sleeve last time?" However, why is he worried about this newbie kid? Judearan was secretly suspicious. However, the monk was ecstatic. Looks like disappearing is true. The 18 fairies will protect the secret world and they will not leave it for the rest of their lives. The fact that they appeared here today is enough to prove everything. At this moment, a elder of secret sect sent a sound transmission to Judearan, saying, "Mr. Celestial, there are people from the Seas sect here. When the 18 Defense Presbyter comes out of seclusion, I'm afraid it will let the people from the Seas sect know about the collapse of the Holy Ruins secret world." Judearan's eyes darkened as he said, "Defense Presbyter, aren't you all protecting the secret world? Seas sect has come to provoke us and I can solve such a small problem." However, without waiting for him to finish speaking, Grand Defense Presbyter didn't even spare him a glance as he walked in front of Long Fei. With a kind face and respect in his eyes, he asked Long Fei, "Did you eat well in Fatri sect? Did you live well? Who's bullying you? Tell me, if anyone dares to bully you, I'll be the first to not let him go. Is there any girl in Fatri sect that has caught your eye? 1 or 2? I've already taken responsibility for you." His expression and words were like that of a grandfather who doted on his grandson. Long Fei was completely confused. Seeing the 18 immortals surrounding him, all of them looked like gay men looking at their prey. Long Fei thought for a bit. The 18 immortals took turns holding back the chrysanthemums. His chrysanthemum suddenly tightened as he ran a few steps away, saying, "Don't come near me, I'm not going to be the foundation. I really can't stand it." This sudden concern, and it was from the dozens of people at the peak of power in the Fatri sect. Seeing their loving expressions, Long Fei felt goosebumps all over his body. Seeing Long Fei jump into the distance, the great senior brother protecting him immediately said, all right, let's not go over there. We don't have any ill intentions, we just want to protect you." "Protect me?" Long Fei said, "The reason you guys stayed at a good distance from me was to protect me." Many people could not understand the phrase "protect you." Judearan asked countless of questions in his heart. Who exactly is this kid? At this time, even the great monk had a face full of doubt. Could it be that he is the illegitimate child of the previous sect master of Factory Sect? Impossible. Even if it's an illegitimate child, it's impossible for the defense presbyter to speak like this. All of them are old monsters who have lived for a few hundred years. Say something. Although 18 Fairies was kind, their eyes were full of respect. He was even more respectful than when he met their master. There must be a problem. The monk looked at Long Fei seriously once again. He continuously scanned his surroundings as if he wanted to see through Long Fei thoroughly. Nothing. He was just an ordinary martial artist of the great sage realm. There was nothing special about him. Compared to Su Su, Lan Mai could not be compared at all. How could this kind of person, who was almost at the level of a piece of trash, make the 18 Fairies be so respectful? He couldn't figure it out. However, he did not come to the Factory Sect to think about these things, but to verify whether the secret world of the Holy Ruins had collapsed or not. At this time, the monk said softly, "Brother Jew, are we going to compete or not? If you don't want to compete, then just treat it as your Factory Sect admitting defeat." Ju Daren's brows tightened, and said, "Blood monk, my Factory Sect has never lost." And then, Ju Daren looked at Long Fei and said, "Brat, hurry up and go down, stop messing around." Grand Defense Presbyter immediately turned to look at Ju Daren, and said, "Little Jew, who are you driving out? Who are you talking nonsense? Don't you want to stay? Do you not wish to become sect master?" As soon as he finished, Ju Daren was completely dumbfounded. All of the elders looked at Grand Defense Presbyter with a face full of astonishment, unable to say a single word. However, even so, he could only endure it and smile apologetically. "Great Clan Elder, we are fighting with the Seas sect right now. We want him to continue, and let the competition continue. Be respectful." However, the anger in his heart wanted to swallow everything. Long Fei said, "I said it earlier, I'm going up." Grand Defense Presbyter immediately said, "Little Jew, did you hear that? He's going up on stage. Get your people to move to the side." Ju Daoren was completely speechless. His eyes darkened as he said, "Defense Presbyter, this is related to the prestige of the Factory Sect. If we lose, who will bear the consequences?" Without waiting for Long Fei to speak, the Grand Defense Presbyter said in a deep voice, "Let's bear the burden." The corner of Ju Daren's mouth drew back as he sneered in his heart, "Good, this is what you guys said yourself. If you lose this refining competition, hand over the 18 Fairies medallion." Grand Defense Presbyter said lightly, "And if you lose?" The 18 Fairies' token, the supreme authority of the Factory Sect. The 18 Fairies' token, the supreme authority of the Factory Sect. If Ju Daoren were to obtain these 18 Fairy order, then no one in the Factory Sect would be able to punish him. With his position as sect master and his cultivation level, he would become the true number one person in the entire Factory Sect. It had always been his dream. However, Grand Defense Presbyter's words were, "What if you lose?" His expression sank, looked at Long Fei, smiled slightly, and said, "I will lose." Ha ha ha. Him. Ju Daoren was full of disdain. Although he did not know how to refine artifacts, he knew how strong the peak-level masters of the Seas sect were. Even the peak owner S would not necessarily be their match. So what if he was a rookie top scholar? It was a competition of smithing, not the speed of a ladder. Question of God. Ju Daoren said in a faint voice, "Grand Defense Presbyter, you can take back what you just said, and I can let this kid leave the plaza without hearing a thing, and from today onwards, I do not wish to see him in Factory Sect." Grand Defense Presbyter said with a serious face, "You don't want to take back what I just said, and I am not joking around either. He lost, and we 18 Defense Presbyter handed over the Fairy Order, and you lost." There was no trace of a joke in his eyes. This caused all the disciples and elders in the Factory Sect to be secretly shocked. The 18 Defense Presbyter S could be considered as the great clan elders of the Factory Sect. Was he going to break all ties with the sect head? However, it was not wise to bet their treasures on a newbie like Long Fei. They would definitely lose. Ju Daoren laughed, and said, "All right. Since you all are so insistent, I can only agree that if he wins, he will become Horcrux's Hill." Grand Defense Presbyter said indifferently, 418 Fairy order to trade for a Horcrux's Hill, Isn't that a bit too unfair? Ju Daren's eyes darkened. Then what do you want? Grand Defense Presbyter did not speak, but looked towards Long Fei instead. His expression immediately changed and became that of a cute and amiable old grandpa as he said, "Do you have anything you want?" To be honest, Long Fei really did not understand what the 18 fairies was doing. He didn't understand at all, and his face was full of astonishment. However, since she was asking him, Long Fei didn't try to hide it, and directly looked at Shenyuan Li. I want her." Shenyuan Li's eyes tensed up, looking at Long Fei. She was shocked in her heart. He recognized me. Ju Daoren narrowed his eyes, as they became incomparably sharp. He looked at Long Fei and thought to himself, could it be that this kid also knows the power of the Holy Maiden? Impossible. Only I know the secret on her body. He can't possibly know it. Ju Daoren secretly felt satisfied in his heart. He stared at Long Fei as if he could see through Long Fei's thoughts. However, he could not see anything from Long Fei. Grand Defense Presbyter grinned and said, "Not bad, you have eyes, the Holy Maiden is a top beauty." Then, the Grand Defense Presbyter turned around and looked at Ju Daoren. His expression immediately changed as he said, "We do not need the position of peak owner. Do you dare?" Ju Daoren went silent. In terms of appearance, the value of the Holy Maiden was far less than the Horcrux's Hill S. However, Ju Daoren didn't know what Long Fei was thinking. This made the monk, who was watching the show, even more interested. It seems that there must be some secret on the Saint Daughter of Immortal Destiny. Moreover, this secret must be very powerful. But the monk's eyes shone with a green light. He scanned Shenyuan Li and said, "There's nothing, it's really strange." Then, he looked at Long Fei. Similarly, he didn't discover anything. However, his intuition told him that the 18 Defense Presbyters would not use their identity tokens as a wager, and they would definitely not easily trust a new disciple. This rookie was definitely not simple. After being silent for half a minute, Ju Daoren clenched his fists, suppressed the anger in his heart, and said, "Holy Maiden, are you willing? After all, this concerns your future, so it's not good for me to help you decide." Shenyuan Li did not even think about it, and immediately nodded, "I am willing." The answer was extremely quick, causing Ju Daoren's heart to sink. He clenched his fist even tighter under his robe, and said with a heavy voice, "Since the Holy Maiden is willing, then I'll make a bet with you." Ju Daoren really wanted 18 fairy order. Moreover, he believed that the blood monk would definitely not lose. No one knew the secret of the Holy Maiden either. She would similarly become Ju Yuan's sacrifice in the future. Grand Defense Presbyter said, "All right, the bet is complete. You can begin." Finished. Grand Defense Presbyter walked to Long Fei's side and said, "Do you know how to forge artifacts?" Long Fei smiled and said, a little. Grand Defense Presbyter's face tensed up, and said, "How much would a bit be?" Long Fei replied, "Just a little." Grand Defense Presbyter. The 17 junior brothers behind him were also stupefied. "Great senior brother, aren't you betting a bit too much? And we can't be completely sure." "That's right. That's the 18 Pharaohs' medallion that was passed down from the master. If we lose like this, how will we face our ancestors in the future?" A few of the elders began to feel nervous. Because they really didn't have any confidence, and even if Long Fei was the person they were looking for, that did not mean that Long Fei knew how to forge artifacts. This risk could be said to be enormous. In his heart, Grand Defense Presbyter only had 15 buckets, going from top to bottom. If he lost, then he really wouldn't have the face to stay in Factory Sect anymore. Grand Defense Presbyter lowered his voice and said, "You should get to the bottom of this. What level is your refining techniques?" Long Fei opened the system to take a look, and muttered, "I barely managed to reach the immortal stage." "It's over." Grand Defense Presbyter's heart skipped a beat. He defeated the peak Grandmaster of the at this level. "It's all my fault for being too blind just now." He had a bitter look on his face. Each of the 18 Defense Presbyters looked like they had eaten a bitter gourd. Impulsive. This is the punishment for being impulsive. Sigh. I can't keep the holiday safe. Grand Defense Presbyter's heart was bleeding. Looking at their expressions, the corner of his mouth curled up into a proud smile. He looked at Blood Monk and said, "Although we are not from the same faction, I hope that you can win this round." The monk grinned and said, "Brother Jew, don't worry. If we can't even deal with a lame duck, then what face does my C's sect have to be able to stay in Western regions? Just wait until you obtain the 18 Fairy Order S and become the #1 person in the history of Fatry sect." Ha ha ha. The monk was laughing maniacally in his heart as well. The sandpiper clams will reap the rewards from their struggle. Today, I, the fisherman, am definitely going to sit down. Ha ha ha. Let's begin. When the monk's voice fell, he looked at Elder Refining and said, "Let's crush him." A black-robed old man walked out from behind Blood Monk. A black-robed old man walked out from behind Blood Monk. He took off his black robe and revealed his true appearance. He carried a huge hammer on his back that was refined into a dark golden color. It flickered with light, and from a glance, one could tell that it was not an ordinary divine treasure, but rather a divine object that had been thoroughly tempered. Refining was about materials, and the level of refining was about refining the hammer and controlling the power of true spirit. Obviously, if the materials were the same, then the other three factors would completely destroy Long Fei. Refining hammer. The crazy wolf cried out, and its eyes grew even more tense as it said, "It actually brought the refining hammer. This time." He looked at Long Fei, and his expression changed. "There's even less hope now." The square was in an uproar. The refining hammer possessed an unimaginably powerful strength. It was as if a divine treasure was striking it, and it could form resonance with the weapon. Isn't the refining hammer the guardian treasure of the Supreme Harmony sect? I heard that there's a 10% chance of being a top-quality divine treasure when refined with a refining hammer. There's no need to compete anymore. That kid is definitely going to lose. Why would I want to? I'm simply asking to be humiliated. The refining hammer, Western Regions' #1 holy artifact in artifact forging. Let's give up. This way, it'll be more dignified. The expressions of Grand Defense Presbyter and the disciples beside him became even more bitter. If one were to say that there was a sliver of hope at the start, then this sliver of hope had been shattered. Right now, there was only one possibility for him to win. Even a furnace explosion could produce something higher than immortal stage. However, the chance that a peak-tier Grandmaster Blacksmith could explode was only 0.1%. It could be said that it didn't exist at all. In this way, Long Fei would definitely lose. It's cold. It's completely cold. The 18 Defense Presbyters all felt cold in their hearts. Watching as the C's sect walked into the plaza, the crazy wolf patted Long Fei's shoulders and said, "Brat, don't worry too much. Since you have the 18 fairies supporting you, even if you lose, it's fine." Finished. The crazy wolf retreated to the side, and closed his eyes slightly. He could not bear to watch any longer, afraid that Long Fei's loss would be even worse than he imagined. Shenyuan Li looked at Long Fei lovingly. She really wanted to ask Long Fei if he remembered her, but she resisted it in the end, and said, "I believe you." Long Fei laughed. When the C's sect elder walked in front of Long Fei, the refining hammer on his back suddenly fell. Rumble. 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 The heaven and earth shook violently, as though the ground was about to be smashed to smithereens. He looked at Long Fei and said, "Brat, if it wasn't for the fact that I don't even have the right to compete with you in the name of the sect, you wouldn't even be qualified to stand in front of me. Now you have a better chance. Kneel down and admit defeat. This is your most honorable chance. Otherwise, you may die." The word die was bitten especially hard. Long Fei smirked and said, "Don't waste time, let's begin." Refining Chief Master said solemnly, "You are courting death." He grabbed the refining hammer. The world once again rumbled. Refining platform pushed it out. The materials were all ordinary materials, ordinary black iron ore. Then there were some ordinary energy stones. Whoever can refine these materials into a divine treasure, whose level is high, wins. Let's begin. As soon as he finished, C's sect's refining hammer shook and immediately smashed a few of the profound iron essences to pieces. A few kilograms of profound iron essence only had a little bit of its essence left. This is the power of refining hammer. To be able to remove the impurities from the material, all that remains is essence. That tiny bit of black iron essence is comparable to the pinnacle of immortal martial spirit. The material is black iron ore, but it doesn't limit the quantity of black iron ore. One strike of the hammer can completely filter out the impurities. It can save me a whole process and also save me a large amount of power of true spirit. I lost. He's going to lose. I just don't know what's going on in his head. It's good now, Fatri sect has lost all his face. Get the hell out of here, don't embarrass yourself. Many disciples disdained him. At this moment, Long Fei stood in front of refining platform and waited quietly. Seeing the Seas sect waving his refining hammer around, he was not in a hurry. It was impossible for a Grandmaster blacksmith to defeat such a formidable opponent through ordinary means, because no matter how hard he forged, he wouldn't be able to do so. Thus, Long Fei had to use the ancient alchemy. However, if he were to use the ancient alchemy in front of so many people, the god's tribe curse mark on his chest would definitely reveal himself. He had to cover up the god's tribe's mark on his chest. After a few minutes, the ancient devil tree called out, "Master, it's done." And it was also at this moment that Long Fei raised his eyes, which released a sharp light, as his right hand moved. The powerful power of true spirit was released immediately. He punched the black iron ore heavily, and it was the same. Directly removing the impurities from the black iron ore, the exact same action, but they used different methods. One used a refining hammer, the other a fist. However, the result was the same. Long Fei's fist landed, leaving behind the essence of the black iron ore. This punch of his. What a powerful strength. Many people were secretly shocked. However, a few Horcruxes Hilles said, anyone can release their true spirit, but it would take a huge amount of true spirit to sustain him for a long period of time, at most 10 punches. After 10 punches, there would be no true spirit in his pubes, and at that time, all he could do was wait for the result. 1. Lost. Indeed. Releasing his true spirit, condensing the essence. What it needed was not the slightest bit of breath of true spirit, but rather an incomparably enormous amount of true spirit energy to support it. However, Long Fei did not take the consumption of the breath of true spirit seriously. Because, forget about royal realm, even Emperor Strongman might not have as many true spiritual value as him. Boom, boom, boom. Dozens of punches were thrown out without a break. It directly shocked the elders of Horcruxes Hill Silly. Next, a lump of black iron essence was placed on the refining platform. Elder Refining One High disdained Long Fei's imitation of him and said, "Brat, you're still far from being able to forge artifacts, prepare to be abused." Boom. A god's holy state idea fell down. The illusory image of the 10,000C refining chief master instantly exploded outwards. Like a god, he crazily hammered his refining hammer and refined it. In the process, an incomparably strong pressure from the artifact forging continued to crush towards Long Fei. This pressure, a normal refining chief master would have been crushed to pieces. From the looks of it, C's sect did not just want to win, he also wanted Long Fei's little life, because he was very unhappy that Long Fei actually did not admit defeat. That being the case, then you will have to bear everything. Die, lame duck. The refining field was like a battlefield. The refining field was like a battlefield. The moment the image of the refining chief master appeared, everyone on the side of the Fatri sect felt a chill down their spine, with the exception of Ju Daoren. In itself, refining was not comparable to this, but now that this kind of refining pressure was pressing down on him, how could a person at the Great Sage Realm possibly withstand it? One of the defense presbyter's eyes darkened as he took a step forward. However, the Grand Defense Presbyter held him back and lightly shook his head, saying, "If he is the one we are looking for, then he can still bear with it. If not, then perhaps this is his life." They were also unable to confirm if Long Fei was the one who took the heavenly beast. Moreover, even if he had to attack, it would be useless. This kind of pressure was not just any normal pressure. Anyone who did not know how to refine would not be able to break it, and could only rely on Long Fei. The monk smirked and said, "We won. He was very proud. This was because his C's sect was about to win. That kid definitely wouldn't be able to withstand the pressure of this weapon crafting technique. Zhu Daoren also sneered in his heart, as he said complacently, "We've got the 18 fairy order, as long as we get the fairy order, the next thing to do is." His gaze could not help but look at the complacent blood monk. Zhu Daoren coldly snorted in his heart. Shenyuan Li clenched his fists tightly and prayed in his heart. The crazy wolf glanced at it for a bit, and said anxiously, "Kid, be careful." At this time, he had already stopped refining, because he knew that Long Fei would be crushed into pieces by his refining pressure. What was there for him to worry about if he died alone? It's over, it's all over. He's going to die. Factory sect lost all his face. Sigh. Sinner of the factory sect. The heavenly god's shadow moved, the refining hammer smashed the top of Long Fei's head. This was a wave of pressure, as if it was real. This strike would definitely shatter his body and break his bones. Many people could not bear to continue watching. However, but Long Fei acted as if nothing had happened, and continued refining, and sketching, as if he did not take the pressure of the refining hammer above his head seriously at all. It was as if he hadn't noticed it. Ignorant fool! C's sect sneered. In that instant. Rumble. The refining hammer crashed down. Die. C's sect sneered. However, his laughter suddenly froze, because, when the refining hammer phantom shadow smashed onto the top of Long Fei's head with the pressure of his equipment forging technique, it was as soon as the mud cow entered the sea, it disappeared. Body shattering? Not a single hair was damaged. Everyone was stunned. Just what had happened? It was also at this time. Long Fei looked up, his mouth raised, and asked, "Who is the ignorant one?" It was also here all of a sudden. Rumble. With a roar, massive waves rolled up hundreds of thousands of feet in the sea of anger. This was the sea god Poseidon, a giant that stood atop the waves with a trident in his hand. The sea of anger raged. A strong pressure directly covered the entire factory sect. This sudden burst of energy made everyone's heart sink, as though they were all being crushed by Long Fei alone. They were unable to move at all. The sea goddess moved. The trident pierced straight into C's sect's neck. Rumble. 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 Thunder roared. 10,000 C's refining chief master was squashed to the ground and he knelt, unable to even raise his head. He tried to use all his strength, but it was completely useless. The sea goddess was infuriated. Raw C's sect's head heavily hit the ground. Bang! Long Fei sneered, his eyes full of contempt. Who is the ignorant one? Who's kneeling on the ground? Who's kowtowing? Who is the lame duck? Who is overestimating themselves? Every word was filled with anger. With every sentence, C's sect kowtowed heavily to the ground. Even if he used all his strength, it was useless. He was as weak as an ant in front of Long Fei's pressure of artifact forging. Not at all. Everyone present was dumbfounded as they looked at Long Fei with their mouths agape. Even Long Fei himself was secretly shocked. Damn, so I was actually this strong. He did not expect this to happen. When the stars entered his body, his consciousness could no longer be imagined by ordinary people. When the 99 stars entered his body, could it be the pressure of the god's holy state? It was not enough. Long Fei could even withstand the pressure of the great supreme powerhouse. Then again, during the process of refining, Long Fei had always been using the ancient alchemy, and the power of the heaven and earth as the furnace had caused his pressure of artifact forging to reach an even higher realm. To crush a mere peak-tier Grandmaster blacksmith? It was too simple. 18 Defense Presbyter's eyes flashed with a golden light as his saliva almost flowed out. He was completely unable to control the ecstasy in their hearts. At this moment, Long Fei had proven everything. F***CK. Are you still being arrogant in front of me? Long Fei said fiercely. Acting cool with me? You think you're worthy enough to stand in front of me? Damn you. C's sect was crushed so hard that he could not even raise his head. The people from the C's sect all turned pale with fright. The monk was stunned. He felt as if his eyes were hallucinating. However, looking at his own clan elder kneeling and kowtowing, He was enraged in his heart. A wave of Overlord realm pressure was released, and he bellowed, "Brat, you're too arrogant." Rumble. Overlord went berserk. At this time, none of the 18 defense presbyters hesitated at all, and all 18 of them moved at the same time. Boom, boom. Like the 18 Ahat, they were stacked together. The pressure of the 18 heavenly saints at the same time crushed the pressure of the Overlord realm. Grand Defense Presbyter spoke in a deep voice, "Move again. I want you to crawl out from here." Bloodmonk's face darkened. He didn't dare act rashly again. After all, this was Factory Sect's territory and he was only at the first level of the Overlord level. He was not confident that he could deal with 18 peak-level Heavenly Saint Realm powerhouse at the same time. Moreover, and there was even a from the Overlord realm. Grand Defense Presbyter laughed like a fool, looked at Long Fei and said, "Use all your strength to crush them. You can crush them however you want, no one can interrupt you." Ha ha ha. The 18 immortals all began to laugh. Staring at Long Fei was like staring at a shining treasure. Lose. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. I've lost. C's sect's head was already smashed. If he did not admit defeat, his life would have ended here. Long Fei smirked, "At least you have some awareness, otherwise your old life would have ended here." Of course. If they could kill him, Long Fei would never be merciful. However, he couldn't. His artifact forging pressure was indeed strong, but it could only be so. Long Fei's pressure loosened. He did not look at the defense presbyter, nor did he look at Zhu Daoren, much less Bloodmonk. Instead, he walked in front of Shenyuan Li with large strides and took Shenyuan Li into his embrace with a domineering air. "From today onwards, you are mine." At this moment, the killing intent in Zhu Daoren's eyes was dark and dense. The sudden domineering hug made the entire plaza suddenly quiet down, as everyone stared at Shenyuan Li with their eyes wide open. The sudden domineering hug made the entire plaza suddenly quiet down, as everyone stared at Shenyuan Li with their eyes wide open. Because everyone present knew that Shenyuan Li was Zhu Yuan's fiancée, and was even her daughter-in-law who hadn't passed yet. Did they want to give Zhu Yuan a lesson in front of so many people? Is he crazy? Is he courting death? It's over, he's dead for sure. You dare to snatch young sect master's woman? Does he want to die? Does he think he can really do whatever he wants just because he won a match? Doesn't he know that the Holy Maiden is young sect master's fiancée? Many people began to mutter in their hearts. Even if Long Fei won, even if Mr. Celestial agreed to Long Fei's gamble in front of the entire sect, but, after all, he was the Mr. Celestial, the sect master of a factory sect. Long Fei did not give any face at all. In the hearts of many elders, Long Fei was a complete failure. Moreover, the killing intent that pervaded out of Zhu Daoren's body was dense and cold. Many of the elders' hearts trembled, and could not help but taunt Long Fei. "He doesn't know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. Why don't you see who the woman you're carrying is?" Zhu Daoren was furious. "I am afraid." Long Fei did not have a good ending. All the elders knew. Similarly, Shenyuan Li's heart was also clear that she was moved. Tears welled in her eyes and she wished that she could hug Long Fei tightly. 100 years of waiting, 100 years of longing. In the end, she held it in. Because she could not harm Long Fei. She was very clear about Zhu Daoren's methods. He also knew that Zhu Yuan had killed a lot of male disciples that he had contact with all these years. Zhu Daoren was too strong. Even with the 18 fairies supporting him, Long Fei still might not be his match. Moreover, Overlord Stronger Man made his move, killing him in one move. Even if 18 fairies wanted to help Long Fei, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to stop Zhu Daoren's sneak attack. Long Fei's life was in danger. Shenyuan Li forcefully struggled free from Long Fei's embrace, her voice somewhat ice-cold, and said, "Please behave yourself." Finished. Shenyuan Li retreated half a step, his eyes ice-cold as he said, "The reason why I agreed earlier was to motivate you, and was because Factory Sect wanted you to defeat C's sect. Now that you have one, I congratulate you. However, I promise you, I'm not giving myself to you. I have a fiancé. As she said these words, Shenyuan Li's heart was bleeding. She silently thought in her heart, "I'm sorry, big brother Long Fei." She wanted to cry. She wanted to cry. But she couldn't. She couldn't let Long Fei see her pain. Only then would she be able to save Long Fei. To her, it was already worth it to see Long Fei again after waiting for 100 years. Even if it meant waiting for 1,000 years, she was still willing. Long Fei was startled. He took a step forward and said, "Leah, weren't you waiting for me?" "I am Long Fei, aren't you waiting for me? I just won, now you're free. There's no marriage contract, no restrictions. You're mine now." He believed that the Queen of Blood Moon would not lie to him. Shenyuan Li was definitely his woman. However, Shenyuan Li's expression made his heart slightly sink. Shenyuan Li took another step back and said, "The person I am waiting for is indeed called Long Fei, but it is not you, and I have always been free to do so without any restrictions. Like I said before, the reason I agreed to your request was to motivate you. Now that you have one, you can help Factory Sect get back at him. I congratulate you. But please remember, I'm not yours." After he finished speaking, Shenyuan Li's eyes were filled with coldness, stranger, as though he had turned into another person. At the same time, she felt the killing intent on Zhu Daoren dissipate, and the corner of her mouth curled into a satisfied smile. Long Fei was stunned, looking at Shenyuan Li. He felt extremely unfamiliar. He even suspected that they were people with the same surname. Is it really wrong? Isn't it her? Damned God's tribe, damnable Emperor Xian, fuck your ancestors, give this daddy's memories to the seal. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly and cursed in his heart. If not for the memory seal, he would have recognized Shenyuan Li. The surrounding people couldn't help but laugh. So a toad wants to eat swan meat. Ha ha ha. Like I said, why would the holy maiden set her eyes on someone like him and win over her just because of refining? So what if he won? Have you seen the weapons he forged? If not for C's sect's refiner admitting defeat, who knows who would win in the end? Kid, recognize the reality. You dare to snatch young sect master's woman, it's better to wash up and sleep. Ha ha ha. Many people began to mock him. Shenyuan Li remained indifferent. Her eyes were still ice-cold. She did not say anything on Long Fei's behalf. However, these mocking words made her heart ache, as though her heart was pierced with thousands of holes. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Long Fei didn't say any more, and laughed at himself for a bit. He lightly said, I was just thinking too much. And then, Long Fei turned and walked back to the plaza. At that moment, Shenyuan Li almost couldn't hold back her tears. It was unbearable, suffocating. She felt that her heart would not even beat. It was like she was dead. She would not be able to take it. Looking at Long Fei's back, Shenyuan Li's heart was weeping blood, but she did not regret the decision she had made. Because only then would he be able to save Long Fei. The corner of Zhu Daoren's mouth raised, he secretly laughed, and the killing intent that he released out from his body disappeared, but the killing intent in his heart did not disappear. It doesn't matter if you are the one the Holy Maiden is waiting for, you cannot stay in this world. She was prepared for Yuana. He would definitely not let a single mistake in Zhu Yuan's devil tribulation. But he had to be absolutely sure. Long Fei's existence was a threat. They had to get rid of him. Grand Defense Presbyter walked to Long Fei's side and said, Where on earth is there no grass? There are a lot of beauties in Factory Sect. I've decided for you. Long Fei laughed and shook his head, no need. And then, Long Fei's gaze moved as he looked at the great monk from the C's sect and said, If you touch my woman and anger this daddy, you will only have one outcome. Die. Long Fei held back a ball of anger in his heart. Shenyuan Li's unfamiliarity made the rage in his heart burn even more furiously. The monk's eyes turned sinister as he thought to himself, You are ruining my plan. I will never forgive you. Long Fei immediately provoked, For the remaining 3 challenges, I'll take them all by myself. Do you dare? With that said, everyone in Factory Sect was shocked. What was he trying to do? Confession failed. Had he gone mad? Or could it be? Long Fei wants to die. They all had their own plans, but the most important part was the final 3 matches. They all had their own plans, but the most important part was the final 3 matches. However, to many people, even if it was the people from the factory sect S, it would be the same. There was no suspense in this competition. In many people's hearts, they were ridiculing Long Fei's overestimation of his strength. Long Fei also knew this in his heart, but he didn't care at all. And then again, he was displeased with the monk. There was a price to be paid for touching his woman. Boom! The 7-colored spiritual refining furnace moved, and the fire lit up. The 10,000C alchemy grandmaster laughed scornfully and said, "Lame duck, look clearly, let me teach you what alchemy is." Buzz! The spirit grass floated up and flew straight into the air. The power of true spirit on the pill refiner's body rushed out crazily and poured into the spirit grass. The Powder Peak elders and disciples were all stunned, staring blankly at the sky, their expressions more and more shocked. They had never seen this kind of alchemy technique before, but it was obvious that it was much more profound than their own. "It's over. There's completely no hope," Powder Peak secretly said, "even if I go up. His not his match either." It was cold. There was no hope. However, the coldest person was actually the Grand Defense Presbyter. His heart was already cold to the extreme. "Aya, just as I ate a mouthful of honey, a mouthful of feces immediately came. This. What the heck is this?" He regretted letting Long Fei fight. They should protect Long Fei. But it was too late to say anything now. Seeing Long Fei standing there without moving, Grand Defense Presbyter had the urge to cry. He lived for a few hundred years, but in the end, he was made into a mess by Long Fei. "Great senior brother, it looks like it's going to get cold. Great senior brother, this match. Why not break it? Great senior brother, that brat seemed to have gone into a daze. Why is he not moving at all? Great senior brother, I don't know if you have ever heard of this poem before." Grand Defense Presbyter looked depressed. However, no matter what, even if Long Fei loses, he would still save Long Fei. This was because the enormous true spirit in Long Fei's body was most likely the result of him fusing with the power of a heavenly beast. As long as he was there, the Holy Abyss ruins would be there. Then the factory sect would be able to stand for 10,000 years without collapsing. Roar! The 3-rate mythical beasts roared. The Master of Beast Mastery S of the Seas sect also began. His technique is also very strange. The crazy wolf secretly tightened his eyes. What a strong technique. This is really over. The crazy wolf looked at Long Fei, who was still in his spot in shock, and his heart started to worry. Shenyuan Lier's face was expressionless, and her heart was incomparably anxious. She didn't know what to say, and now, she no longer knew how to face Long Fei. Boom! Boom! A alchemy grandmaster was training like crazy. The spirit liquid entered the furnace. The medicinal fragrance filled the air. The 7-colored spiritual refining furnace rotated crazily, absorbing all the power of true spirit that was thousands of kilometers in radius from the summit into the spirit pellet. Moreover, a special kind of energy was growing inside the elixir. He only used normal spirit grass, but after what he did, normal spirit grass have become divine-level spirit grass. 3 minutes later. Rumble. The 7-colored spiritual refining furnace moved, and the fire was extinguished. The pill furnace quickly cooled down. The corners of the alchemy grandmaster's lips curled as he laughed complacently. The rainbow divine spirit pill has already been refined. While they were talking, he opened the pill furnace and took out a 7-colored pill. When the pill was refined, a faint divine light enveloped it. It was like a small rainbow. One could tell that it was not simple with a single glance. Alchemy Grandmaster said, "This pill is a 3rd-grade deity tier pill. It has 1,000,000 true spirits and can help Royal Realm to break through the Earth Realm." As soon as he finished, the entire audience was in an uproar. 1,000,000 true spirits. Oh my god, this pill. It's comparable to a god's tribe's medicinal pellet. To think that it would actually allow the Emperor to break through to the Emperor Realm. This is too fierce, isn't it? The monk laughed proudly. He was very satisfied with the pills the alchemy master had refined. Zhu Daoren didn't have any expression, and was very calm. After the alchemy Grand Master refining ended, many people looked at Long Fei. However, Long Fei still remained motionless, as if he did not see anything. Scared silly? The alchemy Grandmaster disdainfully laughed. Brat, why aren't you moving? Was he scared to the point of peeing? Comparing alchemy with me, it's not shameful to pee from being scared, ha ha ha. Long Fei was still unmoved. Actually, he didn't care at all what pill the other party concocted. He was still thinking about the talisman. Roar. A roar. The three-rate mythical beasts released a low cry from within the roar, and then from its original savageness, it turned into a docile little dog, obediently standing behind Master of Beast Mastery. Master of Beast Mastery's forehead was covered in cold sweat. However, the moment he succeeded, he revealed a proud smile and said, Beast Master Foam, kid. It's your turn. The crazy wolf was secretly shocked, such a fast speed. Even if he knew of the three-rate mythical beast's weakness in advance, it's still way too fast. If it was me. The crazy wolf did not have confidence. The monk laughed proudly again, ha ha ha. Brother Jew, this disciple of yours seems to be scared silly, ha ha ha. Weren't you sharp-tongued just now? He's already like this. Could it be that all the disciples of Fatry sect are like that? Ju Daoren curled the corner of his mouth, and his eyes narrowed slightly. He did not know what Long Fei was doing, but, no matter what, Long Fei would definitely not be able to stay in Fatry sect. Even if he didn't chase Long Fei away, the other elders and disciples would. Seeing that Ju Daoren did not make a sound, the monk walked out of the hall and said, Kid, weren't you very arrogant just now? Continue being crazy, aren't you acting crazy? Humph. He's really overestimating himself. At this moment, the Seas sectess of the Seas sect were also finished refining the set of divine-level talisman. The monk continued, with lame duck like you in my Seas sect, I don't know how many times you would have died. Kid, you should. Grand Defense Presbyter shouted loudly, what the F***CK are you talking about? This is the Fatry sect. If you try using trash again, do you believe that you will become trash forever? He was already depressed to begin with, and when he heard that the monk was constantly talking non-stop, he became even more infuriated. The monk grinned and said no more, but his eyes were full of disdain as he muttered, Old thing, just you wait. Suddenly, Long Fei looked up, a sharp light shining in his eyes. I thought of it. It was also at this time. Long Fei moved and said faintly, let's begin, let them know what crushing us is. Boom. In that instant, it was as if Long Fei's entire being changed. It looked like he had 3 heads and 6 arms. It moved. It moved. That kid is moving. Quick, 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 look, his figure. Seems like I can't see it. That's not right. His figure seems to have turned into 3 heads and 6 arms. This. Quiet as a virgin, moving like a violent hooligan rabbit. His movements were like countless superimposed shadows, constantly moving around like 3 heads and 6 arms. The scene shocked everyone. Such a fast speed. However, what's he doing at such a fast speed? I don't understand. I don't understand at all. All of them looked like they were looking at a gobbledygook, their faces were completely stupefied, and they did not even know what Long Fei was doing. The alchemy grandmaster laughed coldly, and said, blindly mess around, you think you can use alchemy just like this? I think you're training with ghosts. Ha ha ha. Master of Beast Mastery and Master of Coding Draft laughed at the same time. In their eyes, Long Fei was just going crazy. They couldn't understand it, but the others in Fatry sect were getting more and more confused. Powder Peak looked at Long Fei with contempt. What nonsense. The talisman also had a face full of contempt, and said, we should not have let him go up on stage, it's too embarrassing for Fatry sect. The crazy wolf muttered, brat, I can watch you from the side, but why are you making me look like this? Grand Defense Presbyter's forehead had a row of black lines hanging down. Brat, what are you doing? Dancing. He could not understand any of it. The monk laughed out loud, ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. No one could clearly see what Long Fei was doing. Not to mention them, even Long Fei could not see it clearly as well. Because at this moment, he was not the same person. He had 3 ideas in his body that were in the process of transcending control. Therefore, at first glance, he seemed to be wildly shaking at a speed that was 16 times faster than his usual speed. He was already out of control. The tempo was invincible. Contempt, my master? Damn, I'll show you what a real pill is. The spring of life was filled with anger. The power of his spring of life surged and poured into the spirit grass. Then, it poured into Long Fei's ancient alchemy technique and the mighty true spirit in his body. This was not in the alchemy, this was in the sky. Similarly, this is my first battle. If I can't even deal with this puppy, what face will I have left? No one noticed. The tamed 3-rate mythical beasts was shivering. Himself was very relaxed. Talisman only desired strength and offense the most. His talisman technique's level was too low, he was unable to refine such a strong level of talisman, so he could only take a shortcut. What power did he have the most? His level. Dragon sword. Black and white. Power of ancient inheritance. He had thought of all these, but none of them were the same. The most powerful thing in his body was his blood essence. Using his blood essence as a guide, he refined the simplest attack talisman. Time passed minute by minute. Within 3 short minutes, the number of illusions on Long Fei's body unceasingly decreased, and at the last moment, a voice rang out, "Alchemy complete." Boom. A golden pellet fell on the alchemy stage. Boom. Beast taming is complete. But there was no sign of any tamed demon beast. Right now, the illusions had completely disappeared, leaving only Long Fei himself. His eyebrows were tightly furrowed, his vital blood was stimulated, and he continuously drew and sketched. His entire body was drenched in sweat. He was completely drenched. The 3 ideas were controlling his body, so their mental energy consumption was too huge. It was simply unimaginable. His body was the same, if not for Long Fei's astral body, his body would have probably been split apart already. Huff. After taking in a deep breath, Long Fei lifted both his eyes, held out his finger, and looked at the complicated runes on an ordinary talisman paper. 3 minutes. The 3 types of refining had finished. This speed. It was so overwhelming that it could completely crush an elder of the Seas sect. However, it was not a test of speed, but a test of the quality of the pills, the strength of the beast that was being used, and the strength of the talisman. Being fast didn't prove anything. As Long Fei's voice fell, the 3 grandmasters of Seas sect stretched their necks to look at Long Fei. Master of Beast Mastery was the first to laugh out loud. "Where's your tamed demon beast? Did you eat it? Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. I'm dying of laughter. Where's your demon beast? Could it be an ant at your feet? Ha ha ha." The beast master ended, but Long Fei did not have any demon beast by his side. What was his name? Long Fei grinned. "I don't have a demon beast." The master of Beast Mastery disdainfully asked, "Where? Why don't you pull it out for me to see? Pull it out for us to see, ha ha ha." While he was speaking, the 3-rate mythical beasts behind him suddenly stood up. The 3-rate mythical beasts' shape was similar to the one summoned by the Taoists in the hot-blooded legend game. It was very small when it did not attack, and when it stood on the ground with its 4 limbs, its attack would become very strong. The 3-rate mythical beasts suddenly stood up, its body was extremely huge and fierce. Long Fei said indifferently, "Look behind you." Master of Beast Mastery took a look behind him and was slightly shocked. "Behind us? What's going on behind us?" 3 illusion beast, squat down. "Did you hear that? Kneel down." The Master of Beast Mastery ordered, but the 3-rate mythical beasts did not move. Long Fei coldly said, "Eat him to me." Master of Beast Mastery laughed out loud, "Ha ha ha. Kid, are you talking in your sleep? He is my war beast." Long Fei laughed, "That was 3 minutes ago, he is now my beast." As soon as he finished, the 3-rate mythical beasts roared, it opened its mouth wide, not giving Master of Beast Mastery a chance to react, it directly swallowed it, and fiercely bit down. Catcher, catcher. Bones exploded. Blood flowed out from the gaps between his teeth. The scene was extremely bloody. He chewed on it a few times before swallowing it into his stomach. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing C's Sec. You have gained 198,000 points, 200,000 points in true spiritual value, and 1 point in universal value. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Beast God Ring. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, Saint level 6. Hee. It leveled up. Long Fei wandered the streets for a month, relying on his normal practice mode to cultivate to the 5th level of the Sage Realm. Long Fei swept across the entire audience with a glance, and said with incomparable arrogance, "My demon beast." Hee. This is the demon beast I just tamed. The entire venue was silent. They all looked at Long Fei without moving. The scene just now was like an illusion. Even the monk himself was staring blankly, unable to believe the scene that just happened. How is that possible? At this time, the most fanatical crazy wolf, with blazing eyes, directly ran to Long Fei, without saying a word, directly knelt down on one knee, and said, "Brother, take me as your disciple." The crazy wolf is a fanatic. The crazy wolf is a fanatic. He never hides anything. He had never seen Long Fei's beast controlling technique before, moreover, never even thought about it. Even when the 3-rate mythical beasts stood up, he didn't even notice that the 3-rate mythical beasts had been subdued by Long Fei. How amazing was this? The heart of the crazy wolf was instantly conquered by Long Fei. If he was a woman, he would immediately throw himself into Long Fei's embrace and do whatever he was asked to do. Worship. Fanaticism. At one point, he thought that Long Fei would lose, but he won without a sound, and it was so beautifully done, directly crushing C's sect to death. Too domineering. Thus, he kneeled in front of Long Fei without holding back at all. "Take me as your disciple, you will be the Beast Hill from now on." Oh, awoo. Awoo. In the distant abyss, the roar of sky touching gave a roar. His protesting. The roar of sky touching was the treasure of the crazy wolf. If it was in the past, he would definitely respect the roar of sky touching a bit. The crazy wolf directly ignored him. At the same time, he now completely understood why the roar of sky touching was being crushed by Long Fei. Long Fei was the one who had truly subdued the roar of sky touching. The respect in his heart grew even stronger. Following the fall of the crazy wolf, the entire Fatri sect went into an uproar, and woke up from the shock. What just happened? When did he tame that 3-rate mythical beasts? Furthermore, it was after someone else subdued it, which is absolutely impossible in the history of animal taming. Other war pet could at most turn him into a traitor, and wouldn't yield again, so how long did he use it? A minute, or 2. I don't even know what I just saw. Isn't this too magical? He's a genius. I think he's a god. Sky-shaking god. He was completely convinced by what he had just seen. It was too shocking. Even if the majority of the people here didn't know how to control beasts, they could all see that Long Fei's methods were much better than that master of beast masteries. Grand Defense Presbyter's face blossomed with a smile, just missing the point of hugging and kissing Long Fei a few times. The more he looked at Long Fei, the more he liked her and said, "Do you understand now? I wanted to keep a low profile, but you want to be slapped in the face. How about it? Does it hurt to slap your face? Ha ha ha." He was now like a child as he walked to Long Fei's side and said, "Awesome, too awesome." Blood Monk's face was flushed red, his anger burning, the aura his body was releasing was incomparably hot. He hated them to the point that his teeth were itching, but he could not speak. Because his master of beast mastery was dead. He had been instantly crushed. He didn't even have the chance to fight back. Such a competition. The disparity was not just a small gap, it was a huge gap. This was simply a humiliation. Zhu Daoren said indifferently, "Great monk, you have lost another match. Your blade. It really is a useless blade." Humph. Zhu Daoren also let out a disdainful snort. The monk said solemnly, "It's not over yet." His eyes moved and looked straight at Master of Coding Draft. The Master of Coding Draft nodded his head and took a step forward. The heaven-transforming golden paper in his hand moved and immediately floated into the air, forming a gigantic lightning web that enveloped Long Fei's head. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The thunder was furious, and it was no ordinary lightning, but golden lightning that struck down heavily onto Long Fei. Grand Defense Presbyter's eyes darkened as he stared at the talisman in the sky. When they really attacked, Long Fei moved his idea, go. He used the talisman that he had meticulously refined to fly out. Master of Coding Draft WN High sneered, what kind of egg can someone like you draw out? Tremble, kid, and die under my heavenly transformation golden lightning. Ha ha. Ha ha ha. He began to laugh maniacally. Golden lightning wildly struck. However, after Long Fei's talisman flew into the air, all of the golden lightning was completely absorbed into the talisman paper. No matter how strong the force was, it was all absorbed. Like a protective umbrella, it protected the top of Long Fei's head. Grand Defense Presbyter became excited. Ha ha ha. Boy, you really are a genius, ha ha ha. No wonder the crazy wolf had to acknowledge you as their master. Now, I even have the urge to take you as my master. Ha ha ha. The monk's eyes darkened. Master of Coding Draft's expression also darkened as he activated his true essence, releasing an even more powerful force. However, no matter how thick and powerful the energy of the golden lightning was, it was all absorbed by Long Fei's talisman. Not a single hair was damaged. Master of Coding Draft was very unhappy and he said angrily, a talisman like you can defend itself without any attacks. If you want to compare levels, this old man will completely beat you. Not waiting for him to finish. The corner of Long Fei's mouth rose, and he laughed. No attacks? Then I'll let you know how powerful its attack is. The idea moved. Boom. The talisman flew out and landed right on top of Master of Coding Draft's head. Without waiting for him to react, a beam of golden lightning struck Master of Coding Draft's head like a super laser cannon. Boom. A huge crater dozens of meters deep was formed on the ground. The entire Saints Hill was trembling. As for the Master of Coding Draft who shouted that Long Fei's talisman did not have any offensive power. At this moment, it had been turned into ashes, not even a bone was left behind. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing C's Sec. Congratulations player Long Fei for obtaining 20,000 experience, 20,000 true spiritual value, and 1 universal value. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining heaven-transforming golden paper number 3. Another one dropped. Many people in the audience felt their scalps go numb. A pinnacle grandmaster had been annihilated by just a single talisman. Moreover, it was destroyed by the power of the talisman paper he had refined. Long Fei's talisman absorbed the energy, and then exploded with maximum power. This could no longer be described with the word awesome. Grand Defense Presbyter's face was full of excitement. I'm going to lose control of my own knees. You. I don't know what to say. When Grand Defense Presbyter looked at Long Fei, it was like looking at a thigh. As long as he hugged Long Fei, he would never have to worry for his entire life. And then, Long Fei looked at the green-faced monk in the hall and said, that's because I, your father, am qualified to be arrogant. In the last match, even a master of alchemy would have to die. Unbridled. This was true madness. The great monk's expression was incomparably ugly. Clenching his fists tightly, the overlord chi of war combusted crazily and the people on the ground could clearly feel the surroundings under his feet trembling. Long Fei asked coldly, you want to touch my woman? You don't know how the word dead is written. As soon as he finished, Long Fei's gaze turned towards the alchemy grandmaster who was already trembling with fear, coldly snorted, and said, it's your turn. He was only missing the last of the 3 Zhongsha realm expert. Naturally, Long Fei would not let this person go. At the same time, the battle between C's Sect S had already reached a stalemate. Each side was proficient in their victory. Hence the final battle was extremely crucial. If he lost this match, that decrease meant that the Holy Abyss ruins would be open to the C's sect. If he won, the monk's plan failed. Thus, This was extremely important to the monk. In that instant, the monk moved and directly leaped in front of the alchemy grandmaster, asking with a deep voice, "Are you confident?" Long Fei won 3 consecutive rounds, and in the last 2 rounds, he had directly killed off his pinnacle grandmaster. This made the monk feel pressured. It would be fine if he won, but if he lost, 3-rate mythical beasts, the heaven-transforming golden paper was something that had been borrowed by other sects. Without it, his C's sect would not be able to escape calamity. The alchemy master nodded, as if he lacked confidence, and said, "Yes, yes." The monk's eyes narrowed, and lightly patted the shoulder of the alchemy grandmaster. "Don't worry, he won't be able to hurt you." With the monk behind him, with the overlord stronger man protecting him, even if Long Fei took action, he would not be afraid. Could it be that Long Fei could forcefully kill him? Then, the alchemy grandmaster looked at Long Fei and said, "Kid, let's begin. I don't believe that you're proficient in everything. Refining, talisman, and beast taming had all won. This kind of talent was rare." He did not believe that alchemy could defeat him. The alchemy grandmaster said with disdain, "This old man has refined even more pills than you have. I don't believe that I can't defeat a mere low-level martial artist like you." As soon as he finished, alchemy grandmaster took a step forward and said, "Let's begin." Long Fei's mouth curved upwards, and said, "Such a competition? What about the pill grade? Or was it comparing the strength of the pill? Or do you want to compare it to something else?" The pills were more troublesome than the Beast Master and Talisman, because there is no precise standard. Moreover, the person with the highest level of alchemy at the scene was probably the pinnacle grandmaster from C's sect. It wasn't too good to compare the grade of a medicinal pill to the grade of a medicinal pill. The alchemy grandmaster said, "Besides the elements that I mentioned earlier, this pellet of mine has one other powerful aspect." Long Fei said, "Speak." The alchemy grandmaster smiled slightly and said, "This pellet is specially prepared for the Emperor's Peak realm. If it wasn't for the royal realm, for example, if a low-level warrior like you were to use it, your own body would have burst apart in an instant. He's a spirit pill, but he also has a murderous pill. You dare to consume it?" His words were filled with provocation. The entire audience was secretly shocked. The peak owner frowned, then said, "If 1,000,000 power of true spirit points is unable to cause a Sage Realm warrior's body to explode, then this pill must have some other stimulating attribute, an extraordinary attribute." He was also a alchemy grandmaster, so he immediately thought of this. The grandmaster of 10,000 C's alchemy sneered and said, "That's right, this pellet's power contains a special kind of stimulating power. This kind of power can magnify the power in your sea of consciousness and mind, and cause your body to be filled with a powerful energy. Kid, do you dare to consume it?" He once again provoked Long Fei. One level after another restrictions. Every level of the physical body had a limit. Once it exceeded this range by too much, the body would not be able to withstand it and would explode. And this pill was exactly like that. This was something that he had already thought of while he was refining the pill. His goal was to let Long Fei consume this pellet, and let Long Fei's body explode before he died. He wanted Long Fei to die. Long Fei smiled faintly, "You're trying to take my life." Alchemy Grandmaster laughed complacently, "What? Scared? You're scared too? Aren't you very arrogant? If you are afraid, then obediently kneel down and kowtow and admit defeat." Ha ha ha. Then he laughed. The monk also smiled at Long Fei. He secretly praised the alchemy grandmaster in his heart. He knew that this pellet definitely possessed a special and powerful strength that only the royal realm could consume. What realm is Long Fei at now? This was a lowly saint realm cultivator. The difference between him and the Emperor Peak realm was over 20 levels. It was simply unbearable. Grand Defense Presbyter grabbed Long Fei and shook his head lightly. Change it to another method. Too dangerous. He would not let Long Fei take such a risk. What if this pill was a poison pill or a evil pill? Wouldn't that be certain death? The crazy wolf also said, "Right, another method to compete. This is too dangerous." Shenyuan Li's eyes became anxious, but she could not say anything. Right now, she had already drawn a clear line between herself and Long Fei. If she said something that she was worried about at this moment, it would only bring about the hatred of the Mr. Celestial. The alchemy grandmaster mocked. "Brat, you were so arrogant just now, and now you're scared of me. Ha ha ha. Would I be afraid? Ha ha ha." Long Fei laughed and said, "It's useless against me to provoke me." The eyes of the alchemy grandmaster turned sinister. If Long Fei did not fall for it, then this pill was truly troublesome. At least this pill did not have a high rank. However, Long Fei suddenly laughed wickedly, and said, "What a coincidence, this pill of mine is also like that. If you can take my pill and live for 3 seconds, then it's your win." As soon as he finished, the entire audience was shocked. All the pill refiners were detoxification masters. They had consumed countless spirit grass in their lives, and when they tried these spirit grass, they would also consume a variety of detoxification pills. A pinnacle pill refiner is basically an existence that is immune to poisons. Even if he was poisoned, it was impossible for him to die within 3 seconds. The alchemy grandmaster immediately laughed. "Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Brat, you really don't know what alchemy masters are." Long Fei said, "Don't talk so much nonsense, I'm just asking you, do you dare?" "Humph." The alchemy grandmaster glared and coldly snorted, saying, "You are courting death, you cannot blame others." And then, the alchemy grandmaster shouted, "Give me the pills." At this moment, the monk suddenly said, "Wait." Walking forward, he looked at Long Fei and said, "Kid, take the pills he refined first. If you die, you will naturally lose." Without waiting for Long Fei to speak, the crazy wolf immediately stepped forward and said, "No." The monk turned and looked at Zhu Daoren, who was in the Great Hall, and spoke indifferently, "Brother Zhu, your factory sect cannot afford to bet." Zhu Daoren coldly snorted and said, "Since it's a competition, then let him accept everything. This is a path that he has chosen himself." Long Fei did not dawdle and directly walked forward with large strides. He directly picked up the rainbow-colored pellet and swallowed it with a gulping sound. Then, he took the pellet and passed it to the alchemy grandmaster, saying, "Eat it." Long Fei swallowed it. Long Fei swallowed it. He never thought about having his body explode. Moreover, he didn't even need to think about it. What would happen if the physical body of a star exploded? A star represented a plane of existence. If a star exploded, wouldn't that mean that every plane would explode? There were no pills in the world that could do that. He did not take the pill seriously at all. After swallowing it, the system sounded out a notification sound. Ding. System notification. True spiritual value plus 180,000 point. Damn. It's really an increase of over 1,000,000 points in true spiritual value. Awesome. Long Fei was slightly taken aback, but at the same time, the massive power of the pellet started to scurry about, as though it was uncontrollable, and started to wreak havoc in Long Fei's body. However, no matter how rampant it was, Long Fei didn't pay attention to all of this. The ancient devil tree looked at it. The spring of life looked at it. The azure dragon sacred ancient looked at him. "If I don't say anything, I'll keep looking at you." It was as though he was looking at a retard jumping about blindly. Even after jumping for a long time, he did not see a single flower, not even a fart, let alone explode Long Fei's body. Long Fei was not worried. But the people around him were incomparably worried. Especially Shenyuan Li Er, her heart was hanging at the edge of her throat. She really wanted to stop Long Fei, but she couldn't. Grand Defense Presbyter looked at Long Fei with his big mouth, and he swallowed his saliva as well. The crazy wolf looked at Long Fei, dumbstruck. The great monk, alchemy grandmaster, surrounding people could not tell that Long Fei had done such a thing. And elders of the factory sect alchemy were looking at Long Fei, and the great monk's after half a minute, Long Fei wanted to laugh without moving. Idiot. His body did not swell. With his acting, the alchemy grandmaster's around him were like ants on a hot pan. There's no reaction at all. Completely flustered. Looking at the stupefied expression on his face, Long Fei said, "Pill. You want some reaction? Are there any pills that can raise one's physical body in an instant?" Long Fei suddenly held onto his abdomen. The Grand Defense acted as if he was in extreme pain, holding Long Fei with one hand. His right hand moved as he sound transmitted. "It's so painful. Kid, Don't
The
be
alchemy
distracted.
grandmaster
I'll help you
immediately
dissolve it.
laughed.
Ha ha ha.
A powerful true spirit entered Long
Your
Fei's
body
body.
will soon explode.
It was
with your trash
indescribably
cultivation.
comfortable. How can you
When
take
this
the
true
pills I
spirit
refined?
entered Long
Just
Fei's
a million
body,
true
he felt
spiritual
as if his
value
body
is
was
not
floating.
enough.
Ha
And
ha
looking
ha.
at Grand
Kid,
Defense Presbyter,
you're going to die
Long
soon.
Fei's heart was
He was
secretly
extremely
moved.
excited.
He was
The
truly
monk's
like his own
expression
grandfather,
relaxed,
and he started to feel
Moreover,
proud. Grand Defense
let's see how
Presbyter
crazy
did not
you are
hold
now.
back and
The few
transferred the
elders from the
profound chi
C's
into
sect
his
all
body.
secretly
It was
heaved a sigh
beyond
of relief.
imagination.
If that
Great
was the
senior
case,
brother,
their
let
C
me do
sect
it.
would win the
I'll do
competition.
it.
If
Let
that
me do
sect
it.
could not
The
take
other
out the
17
Holy
defense
Abyss ruins,
presbyter
then
all
it
surrounded
proved that
Long
the rumors
Fei,
outside
wanting
were
to
true.
imbue him with their
This
true
way.
spirit energy
Then the
and help
end
him
of
resolve the
factory
pain in
sect.
his body.
Ayo.
Like a wolf,
Ayo.
he jumped in front
It
of
hurts.
Powder Peak
It
and
really
said solemnly,
hurts.
"Old herbalist, I, this madman, have never begged anyone in my life. Now, I beg you to take out your great sun rebirth pill and save him, I beg you." While they were talking, Crazy Wolf kneeled on the ground. This kneel shocked everyone in Factory Sect. How proud was the Crazy Wolf? He had never looked down on all rights, all martial arts. He was after Beast. He never asked for help, and his temper was very hard. Amongst the 7 peaks of the Factory Sect, Beast Hill had the least resources and was also the one who got into the worst shape. He had never been inferior to any one of the peak owners either. But now, he actually knelt down. Even Zhu Daoren, who was in the Great Hall, was slightly startled, and his body suddenly stood up. You know, even if it was him, the sect master of the Factory Sect, a generation of Mr. Celestial S, the Crazy Wolf had never knelt before him. He was extremely shocked. Powder Peak looked at Zhu Daoren. Zhu Daoren shook his head lightly. The Powder Peak immediately understood, and said, "Old lunatic, the Great Sun Rebirth Pill is the Powder Peak's treasure, but the thing that the Master left behind is to use it to save a new disciple. I'm really sorry, I can't take it out." The Crazy Wolf gritted its teeth and said, "What do you want? My Crazy Wolf will do anything for you in this life, as long as you save it." This made everyone even more shocked. The words of the Crazy Wolf had always been true, and it would never go back on its word. Powder Peak herself was slightly moved, but no matter how moved he was, he could not. If Mr. Celestial did not agree, then everything could not. Long Fei was stunned. He never thought that the Crazy Wolf would be like this. He just wanted to see how Shenyuan Li would react, but he didn't expect the 18 fairies to be so anxious that it would act like his own grandson being seriously injured. The Crazy Wolf moved Long Fei even more. They had also caused Long Fei to be distracted and did not pay attention to him. At this moment, Shenyuan Li remained motionless. She could no longer hold back her tears. She was on the verge of a breakdown. Although she did not reveal it, there was no one in the entire square who felt worse than her. Zhu Daoren said solemnly, "He chose to walk his own path. His skills are inferior to others, and cannot be blamed on others." Ha ha ha. The monk laughed out loud. "Brother Zhu, I've won." The alchemy grandmaster was also extremely pleased with himself. "You followed my powder-making competition? You overestimate yourself." Humph. Just when they were all feeling proud of themselves, Long Fei suddenly straightened his body and patted the clothes on his abdomen that had been wrinkled, and laughed. "Look how pleased I am with yourselves. Do you really think a trash pill can take my life? F***CK. Aren't you guys being too naive?" Long Fei suddenly recovered. Everyone was dumbfounded. Long Fei stared at the alchemy grandmaster and laughed. "Just how many pills do you need? You think too much of how much there is to eat and how much you want to push me to the brink." The alchemy grandmaster was stunned. The monk was also stunned. Long Fei didn't waste any more words with him. Holding the pellet, he walked to the side of the alchemy grandmaster and said, "It's your turn." The monk looked at Long Fei and said, "Brat, are you messing with me?" Long Fei said, "So what if I'm playing with you? Unhappy? Bite me. Swallow it." The monk was so angry that smoke was coming out of his head. He said solemnly, "What if he is fine within 3 seconds?" Without saying anything further, Long Fei directly said, "Count it as my loss." The monk said sinisterly, "All right, that's what you said." The alchemy grandmaster was also extremely unhappy, and said, "Let me see what kind of power your pellet has." Finished. Picking up the pill, he placed it into his mouth and swallowed it whole. At this moment, Alchemy Grandmaster Chi Choshue, his entire body fell to the ground, dead in an instant. See, there's an emergency, and there's a night to write about it. The pill entered his throat and he fell to the ground. The pill entered his throat and he fell to the ground. 7 apertures berserk blood came out, causing people to not even have time to react. He didn't even know how he died. In that instant, a powerful force from the pellet exploded, and he was unable to control it completely. Then, in the next second, his entire head collapsed. Dead. A sword can kill. A godly technique could kill. But this pill. He had never seen someone kill someone with such a sharp method of killing. The big monk still had a pleased expression on his face, but he didn't have time to react. Seeing the Alchemy Grandmaster 7 apertures collapsed on the ground, his body constantly twitched, and he thought that the Alchemy Grandmaster was pretending like Long Fei. Stop messing around, it's just a pellet, it's not that scary. When the body of the Alchemy Grandmaster stiffened and the aura on his body completely disappeared, his expression sank as he glared at Long Fei. This was the person who had killed him right under his nose. His methods. At this moment. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing C's Sect's Alchemy Grandmaster for obtaining 160,000 experience, 150,000 true spiritual value, and 1 universal value. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the 7-colored divine refining furnace. 2 notifications sounded. Long Fei laughed coldly, and said, I told you that you would die. It was extremely disdainful. Long Fei looked at the monk with raging eyes and said, You want to touch my woman? This is the end. Cluck, 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 cluck. Boom, boom. The joints on the monk's body exploded, and his aura seemed to be burning as it rumbled loudly. Fury could be seen in his eyes, an incomparable rage. The killing intent also ignited in an instant. His killing intent locked onto Long Fei. Long Fei was not afraid in the slightest, and said, Release my woman, or else. Your father wants you to not be able to walk half a step out of here. So what if you're a overlord stronger man? So what if it was the C's Sect Lord? He just wouldn't be scared, he just had to be tough. The monk gritted his teeth and said, How arrogant. Grand Defense Presbyter's gaze darkened. He quickly reacted and his aura fluctuated. One by one, they landed on Long Fei's left and right side. As long as the monk dared to move, they would group up and attack, and would definitely not let Long Fei's hair be harmed in the slightest. The crazy wolf also instantly rushed over and said solemnly, Blood monk, you admit defeat if you lose, can't you afford to lose? I have to make a move here. I must make you suffer. The crazy wolf moved. A roar came from afar, and the long tentacle of the roar of sky touching fell down from the sky, landing on the side of the plaza. As long as the monk dared to move, he would not have a good ending. The monk looked at his surroundings and said solemnly, All right. My blood monk admits defeat this time. But, brat, you better remember this is only the beginning. We'll see what happens in the future. The corner of the monk's eyes twitched. If not for the fact that they were in Fatry Sect, he would have already attacked. While they were talking, the monk moved the sack on his back, not waiting for him to let go. Suddenly, a crack appeared on the cloth bag and a golden light flashed out. Crash. With an explosive sound, the entire cloth bag shattered. Lan Mai held a strange blue long sword in his hand, and the power of the blood vein on his body was surging. Su Su was being protected behind her. The monk's eyes darkened. My cosmic bag. The cosmic bag was one of his most powerful magic treasures, but now, how could he not be angry? He was going to attack Lan Mai. However, Long Fei said coldly, Try touching one of them. Grand Defense Presbyter immediately shouted, Did you hear that? Try touching one of them. The monk could only stare blankly. It was impossible for him to do anything here. The monk waved his sleeves and said, Good, good, good. Kill my grandmaster, destroy my divine treasure, and I will remember all of this. Don't worry, I will definitely get everything back. Then, the monk looked gloomy and said heavily, Let's go. He strode forward. It was also at this time that the center of Grand Defense Presbyter's brows tightened. He immediately sent a sound transmission to Long Fei, Brother Long, you are the one that devoured the heavenly beasts in Holy Abyss ruins, right? Long Fei's mind shook. The Grand Defense Presbyter said, the devouring sky beast is your chance, the Holy Abyss ruins is collapsing, can I ask for your help on something? Long Fei moved and said, Great Elder, please speak. Defense Presbyter's previous actions had moved him greatly. It was as if 18 grandfathers were concerned about him. Although his concern for them had a purpose, it was still because of his power. Long Fei, however, still helped them. Grand Defense Presbyter, Grand Defense Presbyter, Grand Defense Presbyter said, Sea's sect is merely a small sect in Western regions. The reason they dare challenge Factory sect is because they received news of Holy Abyss ruins' collapse. I want you to release your heavenly beast's power, to let them think that Holy Abyss ruins did not collapse. I don't know. Can you agree? They were considering the benefits of the Factory sect. They did not want such a thing to happen today. Today was the Sea's sect, so maybe tomorrow would be another sect or something. The Factory sect would eventually lose. If the monk knew that the Holy Abyss ruins did not collapse this time, no one would dare invade the Factory sect anymore. At least, they would be able to help the Factory sect survive this crisis. Grand Defense Presbyter said, I know it is difficult for you. As long as you are willing to help this old one, I am willing to give you the 18 fairies token. The 18 fairies token is hiding a set of immortal cultivation technique. With your talent, you will definitely be able to comprehend it. Grand Defense Presbyter was very sincere. Long Fei did not think further, and said, All right. I promise you. Even if he did not take out the fairy order, Long Fei would have agreed. Based on his previous protective action, Long Fei would have agreed to it. Grand Defense Presbyter heaved a sigh of relief and replied, Thank you. And then, Grand Defense Presbyter looked at the big monk who was about to walk out of the plaza and said lightly, Blood Monk, I know your goal is Holy Abyss ruins. In order to avoid causing trouble for the Factory sect in the future, this old man will make an exception to let you all know what the Holy Abyss ruins is. As soon as he finished, Ju Daren's gaze tensed up. He did not know what the defense presbyter was doing. At the same time, the monk stopped and turned around to look at Grand Defense Presbyter, his eyes flashing. Is what you said true? Grand Defense Presbyter replied, Of course. Holy Abyss ruins being in Western regions is no longer a secret. Today, I'll let you know how strong he is. Follow me. Grand Defense Presbyter took a step forward. It was also at this time. Long Fei quietly laughed. The idea moved, and said faintly, Yi Mai, are you ready? This is a big boss. Mr. Celestial, what is Defense Presbyter doing? Mr. Celestial, what is Defense Presbyter doing? Didn't the Holy Abyss ruins fall apart? A few elder of secret sects did not understand. Ju Daoren himself was also not clear about this as well. He was still present when the Holy Abyss ruins had collapsed, and there were already no longer any Holy Abyss ruins present. The defense presbyter even brought the blood monk to the Holy Abyss ruins. What was he trying to do? What are we going to do? Ju Daren's brows tightly knitted, and said with a slight sound, What kind of medicine is in the bottle gourd? Could it be that defense presbyter also has the intention to kill? You don't want blood monk to leave. If that's the case, that would save me a lot of trouble. Ju Daoren never planned to let go of blood monk from the beginning. When his sect came to provoke them and did not give them face, there was no one left in Factory sect. Factory sect was a sect with the status of a hegemon. Not everyone could challenge their sect and step on their heads to piss and shit, even if there were no Holy Abyss ruins present. This was something that Ju Daoren could not tolerate. On the surface, he seemed indifferent, but in his heart, he had already made up his mind. Watching the 18 defense presbyters leave, Ju Daoren did not stop and followed them. He had to know what was going on. The crazy wolf muttered, Didn't they say that the Holy Abyss ruins is collapsing? Why are there Holy Abyss ruins too? Shenyuan Lier thought, the Holy Abyss ruins had already collapsed. Why did he bring them in? Could it be that they want to take action against the people of Sea's sect? Her heart tightened. However, she didn't think too much about it. None of this had anything to do with her. She turned to look at Long Fei. only to find that Long Fei had already disappeared without her knowledge. The crazy wolf was also looking for Long Fei, and asked, "Hey, where's my master?" "Master, master." A few peak owners walked over and could not help but laugh. "Owner of Beast Hill, you are the master of a mountain after all. How can you call someone as low-level master as that? Aren't you lowering our status by saying that? You are shameless, but we are even more shameless." "Exactly. Didn't you only win a few rounds? Furthermore, they were all coincidentally victories, so what's there to be proud of?" His tail was so high that it seemed like he was about to leap out of the sky after being exaggerated by the defense presbyter. A few peak owner people pretended to ridicule him. The crazy wolf sneered, "Didn't you only win a few rounds? Can you win against me? Why did each of you turn into mutes when I told you to do it? If you guys were to make sarcastic remarks now, would you be worthy? Louses calling you lousy has nothing to do with you guys. All of you shove off to the side." While they were talking, then, the crazy wolf began to search everywhere. Seeing him walk far away, those few peak owners snorted coldly with faces full of disdain. "What are you so proud of? It's as if you've won. That kid does have some skills, but his alchemy, weapon crafting, talisman, beast taming, and other things are not considered as a true battle of strength. Even if he wins, he would still suffer from dogshit luck. He simply does not have any true strength." "And did you notice? Mr. Celestial seems to be very dissatisfied with Long Fei. Just you wait, that brat won't be able to stay in Factory Sect for long." Everyone sneered. They were not grateful for Long Fei's help, but resentful because the strength Long Fei had displayed had crushed them. It had caused them to lose a lot of faith in the Factory Sect. Moreover, Long Fei was too arrogant. He did not even put them in his eyes. This made them even more unhappy, especially the elders and disciples of the three great peaks of alchemy, talisman, and artifact forging. It was as if Long Fei had slapped their faces when he won. "Aren't you bringing me to Holy Abyss Ruins? Why did you bring us to this valley?" Blood Monk felt that there was something wrong with his surroundings. However, from the moment he followed Defense Presbyter, he had been secretly on guard. The Overlord Realm stood up and waited. As long as the Defense Presbyter made the slightest movement, he would make his move. Grand Defense Presbyter smiled faintly and said, "Holy Abyss Ruins is inside this valley." Blood Monk said, "Isn't Holy Abyss Ruins in Saints Hill?" Grand Defense Presbyter smiled faintly, and said, "Seems like Blood Sect Master knows our Factory Sect very well, even Holy Abyss Ruins knows about it." "You're right, the Holy Abyss Ruins is indeed in the Saints Hill, but there has been a small problem at that entrance recently." "Didn't all of us leave?" Blood Monk immediately asked. "What trouble?" Grand Defense Presbyter said, "There's no need to tell you this, you can directly follow me now." Another Defense Presbyter said, "Everyone in the western regions knows that there is a Holy Abyss Ruins, but no one knows that there are actually two entrances. There is a small problem with the Saints Hill, so we brought you to the second entrance." Blood Monk did not believe him at all, his lips curled up. "Oh," Grand Defense Presbyter laughed. "Does Sect Master Shue not believe me? You'll believe it when you get there." The group walked towards a valley with steep cliffs on three sides. Half an hour later, they arrived at the deepest part of the valley. Blood Monk looked around and thought, this is the best place to kill. The idea moved. He used the voice transmission technique to tell the four people beside him, "Be on your guard. Once you make your move, you won't need to leave any room for maneuver." The four of them nodded. Out of the 7 men he brought, 3 of them were dead, their fighting capabilities were not very good. Behind him was the Martial Hall Master and the Sword Hall Master, they were both from God's holy powerhouse. It was not the slightest bit weaker than the 18 fairies. Moreover, since the Blood Monk dared to come to the Factory Sect to cause trouble, he himself had left some cards up his sleeves. He was completely confident in his skills. Blood Monk laughed coldly and said, "Great Elder, don't tell me you are Holy Abyss Ruins." Grand Defense Presbyter said, "You're right." Blood Monk's eyes turned sinister as he said solemnly, "You think I'm a 3-year-old child?" While they were talking, the powerful aura of a tyrant suddenly radiated outwards. At the same time, the auras of the 4 people beside him surged at the same time. Seeing that, Grand Defense Presbyter smiled lightly, and said, "Sect leader Shuai, aren't you a little too nervous? This is indeed the entrance to Holy Abyss ruins." While they were talking, Grand Defense Presbyter was also secretly nervous in his heart. "Phew. Kid, everything depends on you. Whether or not I can get 100 years of peace in Factory Sect all depends on you." Actually, Grand Defense Presbyter was very worried. If he did not achieve the desired result, the calamity in Factory Sect might have continued. To him, Long Fei had only fused with the heavenly beasts, and did not completely obtain the power of the heavenly beasts. Could he release the power of the heavenly beasts? If the power of true spirit was too thin, then it would have no meaning. Huff. Grand Defense Presbyter let out a deep breath. The idea moved and directly opened a door to Secret World. Blood Monk hesitated for a moment. Blood Monk hesitated for a moment. In the end, he stepped forward, feigning indifference. It was also at this time. Within his sleeves, his fingers quickly formed a seal. A faint ray of light gently fell down. The corner of his mouth curled up as he laughed. "I'd like to see what you guys take as Holy Abyss ruins." He simply did not believe that the Factory Sect was still here. He didn't believe there was a second entrance. He found it even more unbelievable coming to this valley. As long as he was sure that the Factory Sect of the Factory Sect had collapsed, then there was nothing to be afraid of. This was his goal and also his mission. Blood Monk took a step forward and silently said in his heart, "As long as I don't have Holy Abyss ruins, I will be crippled." At the same time, the other 4 people also quickly followed Blood Monk and entered the secret world. 17 Defense Presbyter S walked over and said, "Great senior brother, can you do it?" Grand Defense Presbyter shook his head lightly, "I don't know either." He didn't feel any reassurance at all. The secret world he had just opened was only an abandoned secret world. The breath of true spirit was extremely thin, so thin that one could not cultivate. If the power of true spirit Long Fei released was not enough, then his plan would completely fail. One of the defense presbyter's eyes darkened, and said, "Then we might as well close the secret world and trap them inside." Grand Defense Presbyter said, "Even so, the rumors in the outside world will not end here. Today is Blood Sea Sect. Tomorrow might be the Heavenly Sea Sect, Destiny Sect. Our Factory Sect has been on a downhill path all these years, relying on our secret world to hold on. Once this news is confirmed, it will be the end of our Factory Sect. And this kind of secret world is basically trapped in powerhouse that is not in the Overlord realm." The elder's complexion slightly changed. "Then now," the Grand Defense Presbyter said slightly, "let's go in and take a look. We are still making plans. Long Fei is still inside, we can't be discovered." "All right." 18 Defense Presbyter S entered the secret world. The valley quieted down. A figure landed. Ju Daoren. He looked at the entrance of the secret world at the bottom of the cliff and muttered, "Wasn't this secret world abandoned a long time ago?" Why? Others might not know, but he was very clear that this secret world was abandoned a long time ago, and the breath of true spirit inside was so thin that it could not be cultivated. Is this place Holy Abyss ruins? He was even more at a loss as to what exactly the defense presbyter was trying to do. Ju Daoren said solemnly, "It looks like you guys want to take action." Heh. That's fine too. I'll test you old fellows with the power of the Blood Monk." Ju Daoren revealed an evil smile. What was the power of the 18 defense presbyter? Last time in Holy Abyss ruins, he could crush 18 fairies and release power at the same time, but his intuition told him that the 18 fairies had not used all of his strength. This time, if they were to make a move against the Blood Monk, it would be good enough for them to test him. Ju Daoren's eyes moved slightly. He glanced at his surroundings. Immediately, a killing intent rose in his heart. This place. Heh. Using it to bury people is pretty good. We can even bury 18 people easily. Ha. He laughed maniacally in his heart. As long as he could get rid of the 18 fairies, then there would be no one in the Factory Sect who could suppress him anymore. As for Long Fei, Ju Daoren did not even put him in his eyes. What could a Saint Realm warrior do? Humph. The one who got rid of 18 fairies was that brat. Then,
Yuana will go through the devil tribulation. When he completely comprehends the true meaning of devil way, he will crush everyone in the gathering of heroes, entering the sky sect of Ling clan and becoming the descendant of God's tribe. At that time, Western regions, I am king, Zhu Daoren was secretly excited, as though he saw the scene of the tens of thousands of sects in Western regions paying their respects to him. Inside the secret world in the ruins. The 5 blood monks were stunned the moment they entered the secret world. Stunned as a wooden chicken. He didn't move at all. It was only until the 18 defense presbyters walked in that blood monk muttered, "Is this holy abyss ruins?" Grand defense presbyter's eyes darkened. He did not rush to sense the true spirit in the secret world and instead muttered to himself, "Has he been discovered? Sigh. Indeed, I am overthinking it." Even if he were to fuse with the energy of a heavenly beast, he would be unable to change it. It was at this moment. A defense presbyter was also stunned. What a dense breath of true spirit. Blood monk's eyes lit up, and with a heavy sound, he said, "It's not only dense, this is this place, it's basically a sea of true soul." He extended his hand and grabbed. It was as if he could grab the breath of true spirit, as if it was real. How thick was this? Blood monk was completely stupefied. At the same time, no wonder Fatri sect is able to hold on for 10,000 years. For a secret world like him, forget about 10,000 years, he wouldn't weaken even if it was 1,000,000 years. He was completely moved. The 4 people behind him did the same. Even if it was the heavenly Saint Peak realm, they had never seen such a dense breath of true spirit. Furthermore, this breath of true spirit was filled with power, and was even more suitable for cultivation than the breath of true spirit outside. At this time, only then did Grand Defense Presbyter react. The idea moved, and after sensing it for a bit, his eyes suddenly contracted, as though his entire body had been struck by lightning. The 18 defense presbyters were very clear about the Holy Abyss Ruins' power of true spirit. The aura of this place. It was several times stronger than the Holy Abyss Ruins. To him, all of this is incredible. Impossible. That's absolutely impossible. Even if he had merged with a heavenly beast, it would still be impossible for him to release such a thick and profound power of true spirit. Grand Defense Presbyter's heart was surging with excitement. He couldn't figure it out. Long Fei was only fusing with a heavenly beast, so his power would definitely be affected, but not only was it not affected, it had become even richer. This was something impossible in the martial arts training world. Of course. He did not know that heavenly beasts were star beasts, the power of a star. He would also not know that Long Fei's current physique was that of a star and that his body was made from 99 stars. Even more so, they wouldn't know that Long Fei had purposely released less than half of the breath of true spirit he had released. If they were all released, then the hearts of these people would not be able to bear it. Blood Monk did not dare believe it, but what happened before his eyes proved everything. The Grand Defense Presbyter was extremely excited as he said indifferently, "Sect Master Xue, do you understand what a Holy Abyss Ruins is now?" The legends in the outside world were spread by people with ulterior motives. You've been tricked by them. The Fatri sectess of the Fatri sect have not collapsed at all. Moreover, no one has been able to crack this place. Grand Defense Presbyter laughed proudly. His heart was also full of questions. Blood Monk swallowed his saliva and said, "Great Clan Elder, can I look around?" Grand Defense Presbyter's gaze tensed up. It was at this time that Long Fei's voice sounded, "Let him in, I have a huge present to give him." The Grand Defense Presbyter was suspicious. Was such a dense breath of true spirit really released by Long Fei? The Grand Defense Presbyter was suspicious. Was such a dense breath of true spirit really released by Long Fei? However, Long Fei's sound transmission made his heart tremble, and he inwardly confirmed it shouldn't be wrong. And then, Grand Defense Presbyter didn't know what Long Fei wanted to do, but he was still cooperative, and said, "It's fine to look around, but Sect Master Xue, you should be aware of the great danger associated with this level of secret world. I am worried. The higher the level of secret world, the more dangerous it was. Blood Monk definitely knows this. However, right now, he only wanted to look around and didn't care about all that. I know.
Great Elder can be at ease. I will definitely not do anything rash and will definitely rush back as soon as possible. Secret World was like a formation. He wanted to know where the core of Secret World was. They wanted to know why such a thick and profound breath of true spirit was released. Thus, he had to enter the depths of the Secret World to investigate. The Grand Defense Presbyter said indifferently, "All right, since you insist, then I won't stop you. You two better stay together, this way you'll be safer. This secret world is in danger." Dangerous, my ass. This was an abandoned secret world, just like a desert. There weren't even a single bug in this place. Where did the danger come from? He said it deliberately. Blood Monk clasped his hands together and said, "Thank you, great clan elder." And then, Blood Monk looked at the 4 people behind him and said, "Let's go." 5 figures instantly flew out. A defense presbyter immediately walked forward and said, "Great senior brother, how are we going to let them in? What if they found Long Fei? Doesn't that mean he's in danger?" Grand Defense Presbyter's gaze tensed up. "I forgot about that." "Then now," Grand Defense Presbyter said, "we will also go in. No matter what price we have to pay, we must protect Long Fei, understand?" Right now, Long Fei had already leveled up to master in their hearts. Even at the risk of his life, he had to protect it. 18 Defense Presbyter understood. The 18 of them quickly flew out as well. The Grand Defense Presbyter was puzzled, and asked, "What exactly do you want to do, brat?" "Split up," Blood Monk ordered the 5 of them as they landed. The Formation Grandmaster said, "Sect leader, that great clan elder said that this secret world is filled with dangers. If we split up, would they be able to harm us?" Blood Monk shook his head. "Don't worry, I don't know about the dangers of Secret World, but one thing is certain, 18 Defense Presbyter would definitely not act against us. He still wants us to bring out the news that the Holy Abyss Ruins still exists. If he wants us to bring out the news, then they won't touch us." Blood Monk had a clear view of the situation. Upon entering, he understood what the Defense Presbyter wanted to do. The Blood Monk said, "This secret world seems to be a wasteland, but it actually possesses such a dense power of true spirit. There must be a reason why I am looking for it." It was too much of a waste of time for the 5 of them to be together. They had to search separately. The 4 quickly nodded. 5 figures flew towards 5 different directions. Heh. The corner of Long Fei's mouth drew back, as he thought to himself, "That's right, I predicted it." Long Fei instantly sensed the movements of the 5 from Blood Monk. It was as if the scene was happening right in front of his eyes. It had to be known that this was the power of true spirit that he had released. Everything was within his senses, even if the monk's cultivation greatly exceeded his own. Because this secret world was the world which he ruled. Long Fei moved and said faintly, "You can begin. Let's start with that artificer." The order was given. The 3 figures that were like Yi Mai turned into one and then disappeared, as if they had completely disappeared. The power of the ancient devil elixir made the 3 sisters Yi Mai even more powerful. Moreover, after half a month of cultivation, their current cultivation was no longer the Yi Mai of before. Then again, during this half a month, Long Fei had continuously fired energy at them. The 3 of them broke through at a speed that was comparable to flying, and had already stepped into the Emperor realm, an incomparably terrifying existence. Combined with the power of the ancient magma, the 3 of them were completely invisible. Within the range of Long Fei's breath of true spirit, they were invisible. Long Fei secretly laughed, "Hey. From today onwards, my Assassin's Guild will cause a sensation in Universal Realm." Half an hour later, Refining Chief Master's throat was sliced open, blood gushing out everywhere, unable to say a single word. He had no idea that he was being attacked. He didn't sense any aura, didn't sense any killing intent, and he didn't even see a shadow of a person. It was not until he closed his eyes that a figure descended. A hideous smile. Bam! Yi Zichen stepped on his head. His eyes must be staring at Yi Zichen, so he wanted to get up, but the health point above his head had become 0. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei 4 killing C's sec. You have gained 18,900,000 experience, 200,000 true spiritual value, and 1 universal value. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining refining hammer. 2 notifications sounded. Long Fei's mouth curved up as he thought about the various wuxia movies from his previous life. He muttered to himself, if I want to get the name of the Hitman organization open, I have to leave something behind, right? After fumbling around for a while, Long Fei took out the Shen Crystal S extremely fast iron. With a move of the idea's body, it immediately crushed them into a medallion. On the medallion, 2 characters that seemed to be written on the inscriptions were carved: suicide. From today onwards, you are members of the Absolute Destroyer Assassins organization. You are the first to be killed. You should feel honored. Long Fei smirked and threw the absolute order at Refining Chief Master. Long Fei looked at one location and said, your performance is not bad, but he was injured in the beginning, so your examination is not yet over. The 3 of them did not make a sound. Long Fei spoke as if he was talking to the air. And then, Long Fei said, the second target is the Formation Grandmaster. Position: southwest, 120 kilometers. A twisted pattern appeared in the air and disappeared. He's becoming more and more professional. It seems like I still have some progress after half a month of training. Long Fei smiled slightly. He was very satisfied with Yi Mai and her 2 sisters. Night Valley Clan's natural clan of assassins. In ancient times, Night Valley Clan had always been the assassination department of the Ming clan. However, the baptism of time had made them forget many things, and leave many things behind. Now, Long Fei allowed them to rise one by one. To become a super hitman organization in Universal Realm that would make people tremble in fear, any target would tremble the moment they heard the word suicide. Make the powerhouse of God's tribe shiver. Either not, or do it to the best of your abilities. God's tribe wanted to do it. Long Fei had to have her own power. The assassination division was only the beginning. Long Fei looked to the southwest, and the corner of his mouth hooked up. It's starting again. 10,000 swords formation. 10,000 swords formation. Open. The power of the formation quickly spread out. The area within a 100-meter radius was filled with all kinds of powerful sword intents. The 10,000 swords were ready to be unleashed. As long as there was any movement in the array would activate. The Grandmaster of the Sea's Sect array sat cross-legged, blood hung from the corner of his mouth, and there were several bloody holes on his body. His face was pale as he said solemnly, "Despicable child, you sneaked an attack on me. Humph. Factory Sect is such a sinister person. Come on. Come out now." He had been able to dodge the attacks earlier. Otherwise, he would have been on the road to hell by now. Sensing the chi of a formation master, the power of the god's holy state was continuously released. However, he didn't sense the presence of anyone around him at all. He couldn't sense a single thing. There was only one possibility in such a situation, and that was that the opponent's cultivation was higher than his. Only in such a situation would he be unable to sense the opponent's aura. Come out. The trash of the Factory Sect. Come out for me. You want to kill me? Come out now. The Formation Grandmaster could not hold on any longer, and the longer it went on, the worse it would be for him. Furthermore, this secret world was very big, it would be impossible to ask the monk for help in a short period of time. Thinking of this, his heart became even more anxious. He could not help but roar, come out, you treacherous and despicable little bastard who only knows how to sneak attack, come out." He cursed crazily. However, there wasn't a single ripple of energy in the surrounding area. It was as if no one existed. This was not the case. There were 3 people standing silently within the myriad sword array. They were like cheetahs blocking their prey, quietly lurking in one place, waiting for the best opportunity to appear. In the distance, Long Fei rushed over and looked at him from afar, his lips secretly raised, and thought to himself, "Not bad, you can hold it in. A natural killer. It's good to hide it." Long Fei was becoming more and more satisfied with the 3 Yi Mai sisters, so taking them out of the Night Valley was the correct decision. Time passed minute by minute. The formation Grandmaster grew increasingly agitated as he cursed, "You trash, cowardly turtles, only know how to hide in a dog hole. You bastards. Your parents are all dead. All your family members have died. All your men are dead." This was also what he said. Suddenly, a cold light flashed. The little sister couldn't hold it in any longer. With a single step, she charged out like a ghost. "Die." Big sister's eyes narrowed. "Crap. Second sister." The second brother quickly nodded, understood. The three of them were telepathically connected. Before her little sister had even moved, the two of them had already detected the change in her heart. She could not tolerate others talking about her man. "I can't say Long Fei. Humph. I'm finally out." The formation master sneered, "You bastard, die." Sword formation. Boom. The 10,000 swords moved simultaneously as the formation revolved. The formation Grandmaster immediately locked onto his younger sister and sent out 10,000 swords. Long Fei's mind also tensed up. "Crap. Dragon sword." Buzz. Long Fei released the dragon sword without any hesitation. Roar. The dragon sword released a dragon's roar, and controlled the billions of sword intents. The 10,000 swords in the array were instantly crushed, and pieces of them shattered one after another. The might of a dragon sword was no longer that of the previous dragon sword. The 10,000 swords fell. The formation Grandmaster's eyes darkened. There are still experts. Boom. His right hand moved and he immediately summoned his sword. He rushed towards his little sister. "Let's finish you off first." The pressure of a heavenly saint pressed down. Her little sister was instantly crushed. The Grandmaster array sneered, "Humph, a mere Emperor realm trash dares to act rashly in front of me. Die." A sword attack struck out, locking her in place. The little sister was crushed and stood motionless on the spot, but she did not show any fear. The dagger was tightly gripped in her hand, and her strength had completely relaxed. She was waiting. The timing of a fatal blow. However, just as the sword of the formation Grandmaster was about to strike down, buzz, the second brother appeared on the other side. It was exactly the same. The Yimai sisters were identical triplets, and looked exactly the same. They wore the same clothes, had the same hairstyle, and looked just like a person. The formation master was taken aback. Shadow shifter? He hadn't thought of twins at all. Even form displacement transposition will die. He split his strength, and once again crushed forward. Chop! The sword slashed down. His attention was completely focused on two figures, and he didn't know that on his other side, a figure suddenly rushed out. With a flash of the dagger, it stabbed towards the throat of the formation Grandmaster. It was the same person again. The formation Grandmaster was stunned. This. His reaction was swift and a bloody wound appeared on his neck. Taking a few steps back, he looked around and saw another figure in the surroundings. Are my eyes playing tricks on me? How preposterous. Boom. Violent energy surged through his body, and his robes made explosive noises. He exploded once more, unleashing an even more powerful force this time. The Yimai sisters were incomparably calm. The moment he rushed towards his little sister. Buzz. Buzz. Big Sis, second brother's silhouette appeared once again. Humph. With another move like this, how can he lie to me once or twice? As long as I kill your real face, those two shadows would instantly crack and shatter. Ha ha ha. How could such a small trick fool me? The formation Grandmaster chuckled. His sword slashed towards his little sister. This time, she did not sit still and wait for death. Instead, she rushed towards the formation Grandmaster. You overestimate yourself. Die. A formation master unleashed a powerful sword intent. He did not pay any attention to the two figures on his left and right, nor would he ever think that he had met a triplets. Thus, boom, boom. The two daggers on the left and right pierced into the Grandmaster of Formations' body, firmly locking his body in place. The eyes of the formation master darkened. You all. At this moment, the little sister increased her speed and jumped up. The dagger in her hand was aimed straight at the head of the formation master. You're talking about our man? Die. In the center of his head, a spear pierced down. The three swiftly retreated. It landed in 3 different directions. A string of damage floated above the head of the formation Grandmaster, and his bloody groove quickly bottomed out. Long Fei moved, and the dragon sword slashed. The body of a formation Grandmaster was split into 2. Boom. The system beeped. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for defeating C's Sect's Grandmaster formation for obtaining 18,900,000 experience, 200,000 true spiritual value, and 1 universal value. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, level 7 Saint. The system sounded out a series of notifications. Long Fei walked over to the 3 of them, and opened his mouth to say something. The little sister directly said, "Who told him to scold you? I forbid anyone to scold you." After she finished speaking, her small mouth pouted and she seemed very stubborn. After she finished speaking, her small mouth pouted and she seemed very stubborn. Long Fei's words were also cut off by her, and she laughed. "All right, you have your reasons, but next time don't do this, because not only will you cause yourself to die, you will also very likely cause your sister's death. Assassin's first priority is not to be strong, but to be calm. Any time you are calm, you will be able to make the right judgment." The little sister lowered her head and muttered, "I'll remember it. In the future, even if others curse you for not having a JJ, I won't be angry." Long Fei. Big sister pursed her lips and smiled. Long Fei said, "There are still 3 of them. Other than the Overlord Realm Boss, there are 2 other extremely strong people who are also at the pinnacle of Heavenly Sage. Wu's Peak. Lord of Sword Peak. Neither of them was ordinary. To be able to defeat Zhu Yuan, his attainments in the way of the sword was definitely not ordinary. To defeat him was truly too difficult. Although Zhu Yuan did not release his strongest power, that sword intent of the divine way was not something an ordinary person could endure. Even someone a few levels higher than Zhu Yuan could not bear it. The younger sister said, "What are you afraid of? Life and death are different. If you don't want to accept it, then just do it. Isn't that what you said?" Long Fei. Big sis said, "It's difficult, but it's not like there's no chance. Moreover, we haven't used our true strength yet." They still had a trick up their sleeve. Long Fei said, "You are my women, if you cannot fight, run for your lives. The second important factor for an assassin's life is everything. If you do not kill on purpose, then what is the point in doing so?" The 3 women nodded at the same time. Long Fei looked into the distance and said, "C's Sect's Wu's Peak is in the north." The figures of the 3 women moved, disappearing without a trace and quickly moving towards the north. Long Fei stood beside the corpse of the formation master and threw down a suicide token. "Great senior brother, one died here. There is such a command medallion beside me. Who is this? It looks like an assassin's order. Could it be that there is an assassin here?" 18 defense presbyters rushed over. The area of this secret world was extremely large. Moreover, in this secret world, their sensing ability was greatly reduced, and they did not immediately find Long Fei. The Grand Defense Presbyter looked at the corpse on the ground and frowned. "Heavenly Saint Realm Refining Chief Master, although your martial power is not as strong as the God's Holy State Warriors, it is not weak either. He died here, and with a single sword strike. Is there anyone else in this ruins?" He pondered for a moment. The Grand Defense Presbyter said with a heavy voice, "Don't worry about that. Find and protect Long Fei first. Separate. Faster." "Yes, sir." The 18 fairies quickly separated. Grand Defense Presbyter was very worried. If something happened to Long Fei, then the consequences would be unimaginable. It's a wasteland. Why is there such a dense breath of true spirit? There's no reason. The monk stood at a high vantage point as he traveled 10,000 kilometers with a single glance. Other than desolation, it was desolation. It was like a huge desert. Such a place with such rich breath of true spirit should be a completely different scene. In a lush and verdant forest, everything was full of life, and it was impossible for it to be this kind of lifeless wasteland. It's also different from the Holy Abyss ruins described by the outside world. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that something was amiss. However, for such a secret world, regardless of whether he was abandoned or not, such a rich breath of true spirit was an existence that was like a treasure. If there is such a secret world, then it would be difficult to move the Fatri sect. If this secret world is my C's sect. The monk frowned, his eyes flashing with a bright light. This secret world was too advanced. The breath of true spirit does not need to be absorbed and automatically enter your body. Cultivating here will increase your speed by several folds and will be extremely beneficial for the cultivation of his overlord realm. Greed grew in his heart. The monk flew off into the distance again. At this moment, C's sect's entire body was dripping with blood. Dozens of bloody holes. Similarly, the Yimai sisters were the same, with injuries all over their bodies. The god's holy powerhouse had already surpassed the scope of their assassination. They had endured until now using Long Fei's profound qi. He was already an existence that had surpassed the limit. Huff, huff. Wu's Peak stared at the three sisters and said, "You should be disciples of secret sect, right? I never thought that the secret sect of the Fatri sect would have disciples as strong as you. Although your cultivation is not high, the power that you can unleash is extremely shocking. However, if you meet me, your lives can only end here." As soon as he finished, Master of Wu's Peak's pupils constricted. In the next second, he moved. Shua. One step forward. The space shattered, and in the next second, his aura was accompanied by the crushing power of hundreds of thousands of mountains. Die. The three sisters looked at each other. They didn't say anything, but they already had an exchange in their hearts. Almost in an instant, Yimai was like an illusion as the air started to swirl. The figures of the three sisters began to blur. Facing the pressure from the 100,000 mountain range, one of them managed to withstand the pressure while the other two attacked. Boom, boom. His figure bounced back as two more bloody holes appeared on Master of Wu's Peak's body. Similarly, the two sisters were blasted away and the little sister who was resisting the pressure was also smashed down. The three of them stood up. He once again charged forward. He didn't care about his life. The more they fought, the colder Master of Wu's Peak felt. These three women were like madmen who didn't care about their lives. If they were Fatri sect's disciples, then this kind of fight would be extremely disadvantageous to him. And then, Master of Wu's Peak's eyes slightly tightened, and said heavily, "Receive my strongest move, go and die." His aura exploded. Boom. Long Fei suddenly shouted, "He wants to escape." But before he could finish, Master of Wu's Peak's body quickly disappeared. Long Fei's gaze tensed up. Fuck. Dragon sword. Riding his sword, he flew into the air and chased after them. The three sisters ignored the pain on their bodies and quickly followed. Blade, save me. Blade, save me. Grand Master, quickly come and save me. Master of Wu's Peak shouted. He used all his strength to fly out like a madman. Long Fei thought, I can't let him find someone, I can't let anyone find one, if not I will lose this chance. The power of the Lord Sword and the power of the monk were things that Long Fei could not handle easily. If they found out beforehand, they would have no chance at all. But, right now, the Master of Wu's Peak was getting closer and closer to the Lord Sword. Dragon Sword, accelerate. Stop him. Faster. Long Fei started to become anxious. However, just then, Lord Sword suddenly moved, and instantly welcomed him. Boom. The sword tip descended and supported Master of Wu's Peak. Master of Wu's Peak's mind was set, he heaved a sigh of relief and said, "Someone wants to kill me." It was also at this time. Long Fei descended, the dragon sword moved, and with the appearance of the dragon's scale, an incomparably strong sword intent was released. The sword tip was also staring straight at Long Fei. Dragon sword sword intent. Dragon sword sword intent. The sword edge had a special sword intent. The two forces clashed. It was as though the two swords were battling non-stop. Long Fei looked at the edge of the sword. The blade of the sword was also looking at him. In Long Fei's heart, the person in front of him was very strong, so strong that he had no way of dealing with him, unless he used the special power bestowed to him by the system. However, it would be too much of a waste to use it on him. Different from Long Fei's. However, Jian Feng's eyes were calm and he did not show any strong fighting spirit. Compared to fighting spirit, his eyes were filled with curiosity. Master of Wu's Peak grinned, "So it was you who wanted to kill us? A mere Saint Realm trash, you think you can kill me? Fatri sect is really a group of sinister juniors. Blade, what are you waiting for? Kill him with one sword strike." Master of Wu's Peak became excited. He thought that the Overlord Realm's Ju Daoren was after their lives, but he never thought that it was actually the Long Fei of a low-level warrior. Master of Wu's Peak laughed coldly. "You think that you are so powerful just because you have won a few matches? Brat, you haven't met me yet. Otherwise, I will kill you in a matter of minutes." He was extremely pleased with himself. This was because he was very clear on the sword's edge strength. With a single sword strike, not a single blade of grass grew. In terms of just sword intent alone, even the Seize Sect's sect master was not his match. To deal with a Long Fei? More than enough. But, the blade did not strike, but asked, "Your name is Long Fei?" It was a very strange question. Strange to the point that Long Fei was startled, and said, "Yes." Jian Feng asked again, "People from the lower plains?" Long Fei didn't hold back. He calmly replied, "Yes." He was looking for loopholes in the blade of the sword. He wanted to win. However, even if he used Dragon Sword's power, he might not win. Dragon Sword had leveled up, but he was not strong enough to instantly kill God's holy powerhouse. Furthermore, the strength of a Dragon Sword depends on Long Fei. The sword tip did not make a move, and Long Fei was not in a hurry to do so. From his senses, he could tell that the monk was very far away. He was not worried that the monk would come. "Jian Feng, why are you asking these questions? Hurry up and kill him. He killed our men, how can we let him off so easily?" The Master of Wu's Peak said quickly. He wished that he could immediately kill Long Fei. The blade of the sword was not anxious at all. He did not look at Master of Wu's Peak, but asked, "You want to kill him?" Long Fei did not try to cover it up and said, "Yes." Then he added, "Other than him, there's also you and your sovereign." At this moment, the Yimai sisters were already in position. Long Fei's heart was also extremely calm. He was waiting for the sword tip to make its move. It was just that. The most surprising thing was, Jian Feng suddenly said, "I can help you." Long Fei did not understand, and asked, "What?" The Master of Wu's Peak was startled and said angrily, "Jian Feng, what nonsense are you spouting?" Jian Feng was very calm as he said indifferently, "I said, I can help you kill them." Master of Wu's Peak's body trembled slightly, his face was pale. He did not think too much about it. In the next moment, he retreated with explosive speed. However, no matter how fast he was not as fast as the edge of a sword. The moment he ran out, the sword in Jian Feng's hand moved, and both he and the sword disappeared at the same time. In the next moment, he appeared in front of Master of Wu's Peak. One sword. The tendons in his legs had been torn off. The tendons in his hand were broken. The pubes shattered. His sea of consciousness shattered and his mind split open. This was just one strike. Master of Wu's Peak instantly kneeled on the ground, his face was pale as a sheet of paper. He stared at the edge of the sword and asked, "Jian Feng, why? Long Fei was also dumbfounded. The sharpness of that sword. If it was him, he definitely wouldn't be able to stop it. None of this is the point. The key point was, why did the sword tip attack the Master of Wu's Peak? One must know that the Master of Wu's Peak was a fellow disciple of his. The sword tip did not receive any threat from Long Fei either. Why is that? Long Fei couldn't understand. The three sisters were also slightly surprised in the dark. However, they did not let down their guard. Instead, they became even more careful. The sword blade with the long sword retracted, then looked at Long Fei and said, "This is a greeting gift for you." A kick sent Master of Wu's Peak flying, accurately landing in front of Long Fei. Long Fei was even more shocked. If it was a gift, the sword could have directly killed him. Why did it have to be sent in front of him, for him to kill it? Did he know that he needed experience? That's not right. No one in this world knew that he relied on his experience to level up. Long Fei's heart sank as he asked, "Who exactly are you?" Master of Wu's Peak also roared in pain, "Jian Feng, why are you doing this? Let me die in peace." "Why?" Jian Feng said indifferently, "Yuan Ba is my boss." It was a strange sentence. "Yuan Ba?" Long Fei muttered, "This name. It's too familiar. Very familiar." But at that moment, Long Fei couldn't remember who it was. This feeling was very uncomfortable. Master of Wu's Peak was also stunned, and said, "Yuan Ba is your boss? What does that have to do with me? Why did you want to kill me?" Jian Feng looked at Long Fei with respect in his eyes, and said, "He is my boss, and is also my big brother. His words are orders, and he wants you to die, so you have to die." This time, Master of Wu's Peak was even more confused. However, the expression in Long Fei's eyes deepened. Boss. "Yuan Ba. Yuan Ba." Hiss. Long Fei took a deep breath, he felt a splitting headache, and his body couldn't help but shiver. Damned seal, UF*** King Immortal. Ah! Long Fei thought hard. He kept thinking about it. Images appeared in his mind. Long Fei suddenly glared at the last moment. "Li Yuanba, my King Kong." At this moment, Jian Feng's eyes had also become passionate. He had been suspicious the entire time, but right now, there was not the slightest bit of doubt in his heart. Because his boss had told him before that the person he was looking for was Long Fei's King Kong. Then now, it was a perfect match. Jian Feng became excited. "Boss, I found it." "Ha ha ha. I really did find it." Extremely excited. Looking at the excited expression on Jian Feng's face, he asked, "Jian Feng, what are you talking about?" The sharp edge of the sword walked over step by step, and slowly said, "The reason why I was able to become Sword Peak of 10,000 Seas in such a short period of time was because I received the help of an expert, who was also my boss. He saved my life, saved my entire family's lives, and also because I activated the power of the sword in my body. He is the person I respect the most in my life, and Long Fei is the person my boss respects the most in his life, and is also the person he wants to find." The boss said that his boss gave him his life. "The person who gave my lord his life is the person who gave mine. From now on." The edge of the sword bowed 90 degrees and said heavily, "You are my big brother." Long Fei asked, "Then where is Yuan Ba?" The name Yuan Ba was very important to Long Fei. The looby carrying the coffin appeared in his mind more than once. He didn't know who it was. I don't know his name. He only knew that this looby was his brother, the kind of brother that could change his life. Long Fei really wanted to know. If she could find him, then she would know everything that happened to her. Thus, Long Fei wanted to know where the King Kong. However, Jian Feng shook his head and said, "I don't know where boss is. He only said that he would find you. After he saved me, he passed on some powerful secret techniques and then left. Where is he now?" "I don't know," the blade said truthfully. At that time, it was impossible for him to ask where he was going. Furthermore, the King Kong himself didn't know where he was going. All he knew was that he was going to look for it. Long Fei's heart sank. "I don't know. Big brother, don't worry, he will definitely find you. You guys will definitely be able to meet again. Boss said that this time, when he comes out, he will definitely not let anyone else straddle your head. Boss is the most powerful person I have ever seen. What Overlord realm, powerhouse of the Peak realm, compared to him? It's simply too weak to withstand a single blow." That kind of power was something he had never seen before. He felt that the power on Boss's body did not belong to the universal realm at all. It was indescribably powerful. Long Fei smiled and said, "I hope so. Since he's in the western regions, we will definitely meet again." Long Fei secretly clenched his fists, and said to himself, "I believe in you." Swordpoint said, big brother, you want to be against Sect Master. Blood Monk make a move." Long Fei retracted his train of thought, and nodded. Do you have a chance? The Overlord Realm and the God's holy state are completely different. The Overlord Realm is a completely different realm's power, but since you want to take action, I will do my best. He wasn't sure. However, since Long Fei was his boss, he would not cower. Long Fei said, he is your sect master, if you say it like that. Jian Feng said, Big brother, don't worry. Even though he is my sect master, you are my boss, and the Seas sect is fine with it. The Blood Monk is the one who led the way because they wanted to occupy the Fatri sect. Furthermore, they have borrowed all the holy artifacts that they had brought along. This time, even if Blood Monk does not die, he would be retrieved by the various big sects when he returns. With the fact that Holy Abyss Ruins is still around, his Seas sect won't be able to do much. The boss told me about you. I know you need to kill people to level up. The higher the level, the more you can level up. Long Fei slightly smiled, concealing the shock in his heart, and said, What do you want to do? Jian Feng said, Cheap shot. This is the only way. Jian Feng continued, I'm in the light, while your people are in the dark. As long as we heavily injure him, there will be a chance. I just don't know where he is right now. Long Fei said, 1,300 kilometers to the east. Jian Feng looked at Long Fei, and was shocked in his heart. My cultivation is higher than him, but my sensing ability is being restricted, but he is able to know the location of Blood Monk so accurately. Big brother is big brother. Long Fei added, Don't worry, he didn't sense that I was sensing him. Swordsmanship was even more surprised, saying, All right, I will go now. He took a step forward. A sword flew out. It disappeared in the blink of an eye. Elder sister walked out and said, Night King, do you believe him? Long Fei looked in the direction that the blade of the sword disappeared in and said, I won't completely trust him, but if he really does help me kill Blood Monk, then he's worthy of my trust. The blade was very strong. Heavenly Saint Peak Realm, and its attainments in the way of the sword was extremely high. With such a super thug by his side, it was undoubtedly an additional reason to rely on him. Long Fei said, Let's follow them and act accordingly. We have to be careful. This time, the one we're going to face is the Overlord boss. The three sisters simultaneously said, Understood. The three of them disappeared at the same time. Long Fei threw down an absolute order and quickly followed. Another killer order. Destroyer. Does the Universal Realm have such an assassination organization? Grand Defense Presbyter couldn't think of anything. His heart tensed up. Could it be Long Fei's power? I don't think so. His from the lower plains, and his from the East Imperial City. It's impossible for there to be such a strong person in these two places, and even if there was, it would be impossible for us to listen to his commands. Grand Defense Presbyter immediately rejected this idea. No matter what. Find him first. Grand Defense Presbyter moved quickly. The 18 immortals were all quickly searching for Long Fei. They were looking for Long Fei, but Long Fei was incomparably clear in his heart, because the entire secret world was under his control. Not a single one of them could hide their aura from his senses. This was his world. Half an hour later. Blood Monk stopped. Jian Feng, did you notice anything? The sharp edge of the sword accurately found the Blood Monk, and upon seeing him, he immediately bowed slightly, saying, Reporting to Sect Master, we did not discover anything. This secret world is extremely huge, but we did not find any source of power. The Blood Monk said indifferently, That's right, any secret world has a source of power. I feel like the source of power of this secret world seems to be constantly moving. It's very strange, and this secret world with such dense spirit energy is actually a wasteland. This is very abnormal. He had sensed something from the secret world. However, even if he had these doubts, he still could not come up with any results. Blood Monk said indifferently, But this secret world, it is truly suitable for cultivation, and it is so vast, able to accommodate the cultivation of millions of disciples. If this secret world belongs to me, then. Blood Monk laughed excitedly. The image in his mind was too vast. This secret world would definitely push him towards the position of the overlord of the western regions, and he would be the one and only overlord. He was excited.
His eyes were blazing with passion. At this moment, the sword intent on the edge of the sword moved, instantly launching a powerful move. Myriad swords returned to the dust. The sky darkened. Countless sword images moved, forming a black hole in the path of the sword. Blood Monk's gaze tensed up. Jen Feng, you. Everything happened too quickly. Even though he was a powerhouse of the Overlord realm, his reaction still wasn't fast enough. Rumble. The 10,000 swords pierced through. Blood Monk spat out a mouthful of fresh blood, and his entire body flew hundreds of miles before heavily falling onto the ground. His face was as pale as paper, and he once again spat out a mouthful of blood. A light flashed in the eyes of the sword blade. Had he succeeded in his sneak attack? He immediately cast a high-leveled skill. He had succeeded in his sneak attack. The Blood Monk was heavily injured, flying 100 miles away before collapsing on the ground. However, Long Fei did not come out at this time. The Yimai sisters did not make a move as well. The reason was simple. Although Blood Monk was injured, the cut on his head was not affected at all, which meant that the big move on his sword did not cause any substantial damage at all. The physical body of an overlord was simply too strong. Blood Monk fell to the ground and asked with a heavy voice, "Why? Why did you betray me?" He was in no hurry to get up from the ground. Instead, he pretended to be severely injured. He wanted to know why Jen Feng wanted to betray him. Blood Monk asked, "What benefits did Factory Sect give you?" The sword tip did not know that the Blood Monk was faked. He was not Long Fei and could not see the damage that was created with that one attack. The severely injured Blood Monk was at most at the Heavenly Saint peak realm level, so there was no need to be afraid of him. Jen Feng said indifferently, "It has nothing to do with the Factory Sect, it's because someone wants you dead." "Who?" Blood Monk's brows tightened, and asked, "Who is it?" Jen Feng said, "I can't say any more about that." The Blood Monk said, "Jen Feng, I have treated you well and promoted you to Lord of Sword Peak. In the future, after I abdicate, the position of C's Sect's Sect Master will be yours." Jen Feng said coldly, "What I have right now is not something you give me, but something I fought for myself. Furthermore, these things are worthless to me. I pursue the highest realm." Blood Monk laughed out loud, and said, "The highest realm? Who can give you the highest realm? Do you think that it's really that amazing just because you have won against a little Ju Yuan? Without me, you are nothing." Jen Feng also smiled and said, "Without you, I would still be me. However, you would no longer be in this world." As soon as he finished, the sword intent from Jen Feng's body was once again released out like a majestic mountain. A beam of sword intent was like a mountain that was hundreds of thousands of feet tall. The sword intent formed a mountain that covered the sky and came crashing down. This sword intent was incomparable. Blood Monk laid on the ground without moving, and said, "Jen Feng, I will give you one more chance." Jen Feng said, "You no longer have a chance." The path of the sword could not be hesitated. The edge of the sword was like this. Since it was already the best choice, he would not waver even a little. Thus, he had used a powerful technique from the very beginning. Blood Monk roared out, "You asked for it. You're courting death." As soon as he finished, boundless overlord pressure descended from the sky, instantly crushing the towering mountain and shattering the sword intent. Jen Feng's body sank as he asked, "Are you not injured?" Blood Monk laughed, "You think you can hurt me? You think you, a god's holy state, can harm my overlord's physique? Ha ha ha. Jen Feng, you really don't know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. Betrayed me? I want you to never reincarnate." Boop. Boom. Blood Monk's figure disappeared. In that instant, he threw out a palm attack. The sound rumbled against Jen Feng's chest. The edge of the long sword was pulled out and he chanted an incantation as he slashed out. Break. Secretly, Long Fei tensed up, broken sword style. The sword force and palm force collided. The sword force endured for half a second before shattering. Blood Monk's left hand moved again as he threw out another palm attack. Die. The edge of the sword frowned. Facing this move, he couldn't stop it. He had underestimated the power of an Overlord realm powerhouse. It was an underestimation. Furthermore, the blood monk was too treacherous. The blade of the sword suddenly sat cross-legged, as streams of sword intent gathered back into his body. His entire body formed a huge sword, turning him into a sword. But, even so, he couldn't block Blood Monk's palm either. I can't block it. Long Fei's gaze tensed up, and he shouted loudly, "Dragon sword!" Roar. The dragon roared. The world trembled. Blood Monk was also shocked. He looked to the side. "It's you, kid." "Humph. There is a path to heaven that you refuse to take. Hell has no doors to break into. This is bad news for me. Today, I will send you back to the west." The moment Blood Monk saw Long Fei, the anger in his heart immediately rose. It could even be said that smoke was coming out from the top of his head. Long Fei had killed his grandmaster, ruined his plans, and he had already developed a killing intent for Long Fei. Long Fei's lips curled up slightly, and said, "Kill me? Usually, the people who say such things die in my hands." "Humph. You're still crazy." The Blood Monk sneered, and said, "With your low cultivation, you think you have the ability to be arrogant in front of me." Rumble. The moment the Overlord's suppression moved, it was as if an Overlord had blasted towards Long Fei. Long Fei stood where he was without being crushed at all, and laughed. "Just this little bit of strength. It's not enough. Pressure." Currently, the pressure of the first level of Overlord was completely useless against Long Fei. With his current sea of consciousness, his mind was already limitless. Unless it was the pressure from a supreme powerhouse, Long Fei wouldn't have to worry about him at all. It could actually block the pressure of an Overlord realm expert. "It seems like you have a divine treasure protecting you. Then, let me see if you have any divine treasures on you." He took a step forward. Shua. Blood Monk's figure disappeared. The distance of 100 kilometers was covered in an instant. The sharp edge of the sword was stunned and suddenly shouted, "Big brother, be careful." It was also at this time. Buzz. As soon as the dragon sword fell, it landed in front of the sword blade and said, "Master said it, he wants you to use me." Dragon sword were very strong. However, Long Fei's cultivation level was restricted. He was unable to release the dragon sword's strongest power, but the tip of the sword was different. Whether it was in terms of level or his comprehension in the Tao of the sword, both were extremely powerful. The dragon sword in his hands could unleash an extremely strong power. The blade of the sword did not hesitate, with one hand holding onto the hilt of the dragon sword's dragon head sword. And at this moment, the divine dragon roared. With a move of the dragon sword's hilt, the entire body of the sword seemed to have grown out from the blade of the sword, like a part of the body. The feeling it gave the blade of the sword was, what he held was not a sword, but a dragon. He took advantage of the momentum and rose up. The edge of the sword moved. Looking at the dragon sword in his hand, he bellowed, "Myriad swords will return to the dust, and dragon god will burn." Kill. The dragon sword turned from a meter long to several tens of meters long, looking like a dragon. The power of Dragon Slash had fused together with the power of the sword blade. This strike. Just like that, a dragon slashed towards the Blood Monk's head. Rumble. Rumble. The sky split open. Blood Monk felt the huge impact from the force behind him and laughed coldly. "Do you think only trash like you can hurt me? In the next life. Kid. Go and die." His 5 fingers grabbed at the top of Long Fei's head. His target was only Long Fei. However, but Long Fei did not move at all. Because he was now like a bait, looking at the Blood Monk pouncing towards him. His idea moved. Kill. In the void. In the void. The Yi My sisters, who had prepared for this already, suddenly moved. 3 directions. 3 daggers stabbed forward in an instant. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 3 daggers directly stabbed into Blood Monk's body, causing Blood Monk's eyes to tighten. He did not expect that there would be someone hiding in the surroundings. Looking at Long Fei's calm and strategic look, he thought in his heart, "This brat. It's too treacherous, we definitely cannot let it go."
The damage of the 3 daggers was not serious for the blood monk. The tyrannical aura on his body shook. The Ye My Sisters were almost blasted flying. However, he forcefully endured it, firmly holding Blood Monk's body back. Blood Monk's eyes turned sinister. Die. Boom. Overlord roared. His thick monastic robe was torn apart. His entire body was like steel, and the dagger on his body instantly cracked and bent. Long Fei ordered, retreat. The 3 sisters didn't stop at all. Without waiting for the shockwave to disperse, the 3 voices quickly retreated. Blood Monk stared at Long Fei, and said, Die. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, Look at your head. Blood Monk raised his eyes and his expression changed. At this moment, a ferocious dragon god came crushing down from above his head. Rumble. Blood Monk's body was like a nail as it stabbed into the ground. Half of his body was stuck in the mud, with a loud crack coming from his joints. Blood Monk revealed a painful expression. The dragon sword raised it. Again. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Blood Monk was once again thrown down, the soil covering his neck. At this moment, the sword tip of the idea moved, sword formation. The swords flew like shuttles, thrusting down from the sky one after another, surrounding Blood Monk's head, forming a gigantic sword formation. The dragon sword floated up into the air. It directly landed on the Blood Monk's head. They directly tied up Blood Monk. All of this happened in an instant. He was not afraid of the power of the sword tip, but the moves just now had completely exceeded the power range of the god's holy powerhouse. Humph. Humiliate my big brother? You're courting death. The blade of the sword made a heavy sound. Blood Monk laughed coldly. Your big brother? It looks like. Did he make you betray me? He had to say it. Even if he received 2 heavy blows from the dragon sword, Blood Monk did not receive any heavy injuries. Furthermore, the wound on his head did not drop by much either. This caused Long Fei to be extremely shocked. Overlord Realm Powerhouse had exceeded his imagination. However, at this point, even if he couldn't kill her, he had to. Long Fei said faintly, I already said, the person who touched my woman will have to pay the price. Do you think I will let you go? Blood Monk looked at Long Fei and said, You are merely a low-level piece of trash in the Saint Realm. Since you could make so many people work for you, even I can betray them. In front of me, you are still trash. Strength is everything. No matter how profound your methods are, they are useless. In the face of strength, your methods can't even withstand a single blow. Level was everything. Strength was the main melody. This was the case for Universal Realm. No one would remember a person who only knew how to plot, and would only remember a powerhouse who had peerless power. Jian Feng replied heavily, and said, Blood Monk, do you even have the qualifications to judge my big brother? Don't forget, you're kneeling on the ground right now. Blood Monk sneered and said, I'm kneeling on the ground? Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Just you people. You dregs. Ha ha ha. Blood Monk laughed crazily. At the same time, the ground within tens of thousands of kilometers started to crack continuously, as if there was a monster rushing out from underground. At the same time, the dragon sword moved and roared, and King dare to be arrogant. Rumble. The dragon sword pierced heavily towards the Blood Monk's head. Crack. Buzz. 100,000 meters of light appeared above Blood Monk's head, and like a shield, it directly blocked the attack of the dragon sword. The Blood Monk laughed coldly and said, I told you, all of you are trash. All of you don't even know what the power of an overlord is. Explode. Rumble. The ground immediately cracked, and an incomparably powerful force burst out from the crack. At the same time, the sword formation trembled crazily, and continued to emit sword hums and groans. Shua. One of the swords could not support itself and was sent flying. Then, it shattered into pieces. Boom. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. All of the sword formations were shattered. Blood Monk's body was covered in a brilliant light. The overlord power was like a true substance, releasing a wave of chi that rushed out. Bam! The blade of the sword was sent flying for hundreds of miles, and a mouthful of black blood sprayed out. His face was incomparably pale. His internal organs were all rolling around madly. His entire body was covered in blood. It was as if countless nails had nailed him to the ground, rendering him unable to move. The dragon sword was also instantly sent flying and pierced deep into the ground. They were also heavily injured. Within the void, the three Yimai sisters who had been hiding were also blasted flying. Each of their injuries was as heavy as the edge of a sword. Long Fei was the same. If he had not released the divine dragon transformation skill Zero Blood Not Die at the last moment, his heart would have been directly shattered by the Blood Monk's overlord energy. The spring of life crazily released the power of life. Long Fei's health point quickly recovered as he said in a heavy heart, "An overlord realm boss is too freaking abnormal." Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Blood Monk slowly walked over and said, "I already said that all of you are trash. Everything in front of Overlord Stronger Man are ants. Do you really think you can kill me? Too naive. 100 kilometers in a single step." He instantly appeared in front of Long Fei, looked at the pale-faced Long Fei, and laughed in disdain. "An ant like you is only wasting air. If you provoke me, you only have one outcome. Die." As soon as he finished, Blood Monk slowly lifted his leg, and then heavily stomped on Long Fei's head. With this step, Long Fei's head would explode. Ha ha ha. Lame duck, tremble. Blood Monk laughed sinisterly and stomped down. Long Fei's eyes turned sinister. "Tremble your sister." His blood essence stirred. Buzz. The moment the blood essence landed on the ground, the door of space-time opened its mouth and its body suddenly disappeared. Blood Monks stomped on empty air. In the next second, Long Fei appeared beside the Yimai sisters. Blood Monk was surprised. "A spatial technique? I didn't expect you to know a space technique. You're really surprising." However, Blood Monk laughed complacently. "Even so, you won't be able to survive." Boom. Overlord Realm erupted to its peak, its speed extremely fast. Without giving Long Fei another chance to release his blood essence, he moved once again. It directly grabbed towards Long Fei's throat. At this moment, Long Fei's eyes turned sinister, and he roared, "Let's see who doesn't survive." His right hand sank. The idea moved. The power of Grand Mist opens. Super force of Ming Clan, open. Killing sword, open. Decaying power, open. Boom. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Countless energies frantically superimposed. It directly rushed into Long Fei's right arm. At this moment, Long Fei roared, "Big Master Guard arm, open me up." Fuse. All of the power fused into the Big Master Guard arm, and the superpower was activated. All sorts of powerful forces filled up the Big Master Guard arm. All sorts of powerful forces filled up the Big Master Guard arm. It was a completely different power from before. Roar. The first section of the metal produced a demonic roar. His voice shook. A strength stripes shot out instantly and covered the entire secret world of the ruins. Blood Monk trembled slightly. His eyes stared at Long Fei's right arm as he coldly said, "There's still a divine treasure? It seems like you really have a lot of things on you." "Sure. All mine." Ha ha ha. Blood Monk laughed madly. His speed was even faster. His 5 fingers flashed with cold light, grabbing towards Long Fei's throat. Roar. A roar came from the second section. The second demon had awoken as well. Roar. A roar instantly rang out from within the third section of the metal. The Big Master Guard arm was divided into 18 pieces, and each piece contained an ancient demon. Their power was extremely great, and they had come from outside the universal realm. An extremely terrifying existence. In the past, when Long Fei had used the power of Big Master Guard arm, the first section had only been filled with the roars of the demons. The second section had never been released, let alone the third section. 3 sections, demonic roar. Power gathered in that instant. Long Fei's eyes turned sinister as he stared at Blood Monk and roared loudly, "Come." A punch was fired out. Rumble. The world was in an uproar. The thousands of miles around Long Fei continued to explode, splitting apart as sand and dust filled the sky. Blood Monk's gaze darkened. "No matter how powerful the divine treasure is, it can't release trash like you. Brat, go and die." Blood Monk did not hide. Because He was very clear that divine treasures required a very high level of power to release their strongest powers. Long Fei's level was too low. Even a very powerful divine treasure would not be able to unleash its strongest power. His palm met Long Fei's fist. At this moment, he found out he was wrong. Because the power of Long Fei's fist, so powerful that he couldn't withstand it. The instant the two powers clashed, his strength was instantly crushed, followed by total defeat. Crack, crack. A series of explosions sounded, and all 5 of his knuckles shattered. Bam! The joints of his right arm had shattered. Finally, his entire arm directly shattered as fresh blood violently spurted out. Before he could react, his body was also sent flying. He couldn't withstand it at all. Boom! 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 His body was directly blasted into the sky as Blood Monk's eyes dimmed. His body crushed the space around him as his body continuously trembled. He had never been this afraid before. He had never been in such a situation before. His right arm was shattered. His body was blasted into the air and kept on exploding outwards. Right now, he was completely unable to control his own body. The power of the Overlord realm seemed so insignificant at this moment. No, no, I can't die. I can't die, Blood Monk roared in his heart. At the same time, he was also desperately trying to stabilize his body. However, no matter how hard he tried, it was useless. He couldn't keep it steady at all. Boom! A spatial tear appeared in the air. Boom! Yet another layer of space shattered. If this continued, he would be forced out of Universal Realm. Blood Monk was trembling in fear. No, no. All sorts of treasures were released, but they were all useless. The instant they were released, they shattered, completely unable to bear the impact of his own body, as his fist was just too strong. At this moment, the moment when Long Fei saw Blood Monk being blasted out, a scarlet number floated up above his head. 648329321, 593937831, 600, 302838. The number of injuries caused by the explosion of the watch. Long Fei endured the pain in his body with all his might and said excitedly, "Explode, explode, explode, you must explode for me." Not to mention some holy artifact, just the experience points was an unimaginable number, which could be seen from his HP. Moreover, this was the first Overlord Realm boss that Long Fei had killed in the Universal Realm. What is that sound? What kind of power? This is bad. Quick, quick! 18 fairies flew crazily towards Long Fei. Grand Defense Presbyter's heart sank. If something were to happen to him, how would I explain this to the ancestors of Factory Sect? Kid, my little ancestor, please don't let anything happen to you. He was now somewhat regretful. Blood Monk should not be allowed to enter. He originally wanted to kill Long Fei, and he had even let the Blood Monk in. What am I doing? Grand Defense Presbyter thought fiercely in his heart. If something were to happen to him, I definitely won't forgive myself. His heart was incomparably nervous. It was not only because Long Fei had fused with the power of the heavenly beast, but also because of the things that Long Fei had done for the Factory Sect. Outside the secret world. In the valley. Strange. This power. Is it from the secret world? Zhu Daoren floated in midair, and a stream of power shot out explosively from within the mountain. He had never seen this power before. It was a power that did not belong to this world, and at the same time, there were 3 consecutive roars from Demon Beast. Zhu Daoren looked at the entrance of the secret world, and muttered, "What exactly happened inside? What is the 18th Elder doing?" Zhu Daoren really wanted to go in and see, but he held it in. He was worried that he would miss the best opportunity. Whether it was the Blood Monk or the 18th Elder coming out, any one of them would have to pay a heavy price for their victory. "I'll wait for you here. Let's see where you can escape to." Zhu Daoren grinned and laughed excitedly. This secret world only had one exit. Stay here and finish it once and for all. Boom. Boom. Space continued to shatter. The amount of blood on top of Blood Monk's head decreased gradually, and was about to fall to the bottom. Blood Monk knew that his death wasn't too far off. However, he was a very unwilling person. Moreover,
He already had a trick up his sleeve. Long Fei, I will definitely get my revenge. Destroy my body, I want your soul flying in the future. Ah! Blood Monk suddenly formed a strange seal with his hands. His body exploded and all the energy in his body surged to protect one of his primordial spirit. Rumble. At this moment, System BPS sounded out in Long Fei's mind. Ding. Wonderful sound. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Blood Monk for obtaining 180,000 experience points, 20,000 true spiritual value points, and 1 universal value point. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Overlord power. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Sacred Blood Pearl. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Xian Crystal Divine Abyss Rock. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Earth Roar. Do you wish to cultivate it? Congratulations to player Long Fei. The System BPS echoed crazily. Continue. Ding. 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 Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining a special reward for defeating Blood Monk. Reward, Ascending Crystal. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, level 8 Saint. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, Saint level 9. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, level 1 Spirit Master. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for breaking through the senior realm and obtaining a special reward. Reward, Comprehension plus 100 points, duration, 5 minutes. The System Beep frantically attacked. Long Fei's eardrums were about to burst. However, this feeling was so great, just like the sky. Even though Long Fei was currently in great pain, that fist just now had exhausted all of his strength, and all of his strength had fused together in that instant. If it were not for his astral body, his body would have probably exploded by now. Even though leveling up had allowed him to recover all of his stats, his right arm was still cracking and his entire body was in unbearable pain. He had to be unable to hold on. At the same time, Long Fei could feel that the 18 fairies was getting closer and closer. Nor could they discover the edge of the blade. Immediately, Long Fei moved her body. Blood Monk has already been exterminated. All of you hide right now, and do not be discovered. Sword Edge. From today onwards, you will follow me and help me take care of the Dragon Sword. Dragon Sword, you will be following him from now on. Long Fei spoke very quickly. He was afraid that he would faint very soon. The moment he finished, the aura around his body abruptly retracted, and could no longer withstand the release of such a huge amount of energy from the secret world. His eyes blurred and he fell to the floor. The big Master Guard arm quickly disappeared. At the same time, 18 defense presbyters landed heavily on the ground. Seeing the cracks on the ground, which looked like they were made out of spiderwebs, and the shattered space in the surrounding area, the expressions of the 18 defense presbyters tensed up. His heart was filled with incomparable shock. What had happened here? It was hard to imagine. Grand Defense Presbyter went from Long Fei's side to Long Fei's side and hugged Long Fei. His fingers rested on the vein as the idea moved slightly. Great Senior Brother, how is it? Is he dead? Pay, my jinx. Something must not happen to him. He's currently in Holy Abyss ruins and he shouldn't be in trouble even if something were to happen to anyone in Factory Sect. Long Fei was too important to them. It was more important than anyone else. Even Zhu Daoren wasn't as important. As long as Long Fei was there, the Factory Sect would be standing firmly. The boulder in Grand Defense Presbyter's heart dropped as he said lightly, "There are no major injuries on your body, just that you are too tired. Just rest for a bit and you will be fine." He did not feel any pain in Long Fei's body. It made his heart tremble because he had never seen a body like Long Fei's, where he could no longer find any words to describe it. Even the word perfect was unable to describe Long Fei's real body. Perhaps it is the change brought by the heavenly beast. Grand Defense Presbyter did not say it out loud. The less people knew about Long Fei's physical body, the better. A defense presbyter said,
Great senior brother, then this place. It's like an ancient war. Something must have happened just now. That's right. The shock wave from earlier, the roar from the demon, and the power from an overlord. There must have been a fight. Why is he completely unharmed? Where's the blood monk? Where are the grandmasters of C's sect? Why didn't I see any of them? Countless questions arose in their hearts. Grand Defense Presbyter carried Long Fei, looked at Long Fei who was in his embrace, and said to himself, all of this is what you didn't want to reveal, right? And then, Grand Defense Presbyter said, don't talk too much. Let's head out first. He needs a quiet place to recuperate. The 18 clan elders did not ask any more, as they wanted to clarify all of these questions, but right now, Long Fei was even more important. The 18 of them quickly flew towards the exit of Secret World. After they left, Yi Mai and the other 2 sisters slowly walked out. I wonder if Night King is all right? The sword picked up the dragon sword and said respectfully, from today onwards, I will be Big Brother's sword slave. The dragon sword was pulled out at any time, which was the tacit acknowledgement of the sword's true identity. Outside the secret world, a ray of light descended. In the valley, a hidden power instantly wrapped around that bright light. At this moment, Ju Daeron's gaze tensed up, primordial spirit. His body suddenly moved in an attempt to grab her. However, the power of the primordial spirit exceeded his expectations and almost instantly disappeared. Ju Daoren was overwhelmed with shock. The primordial spirit of an overlord? The primordial spirit of the blood monk? Could it be? Have the 18 Defense Presbyter won? It looks like 18 Defense Presbyter is indeed hiding a great move. Have you comprehended the absolute skills on the 18 Fairies token? Ju Daeron's mind tensed up. Looking in the direction in which the primordial spirit had disappeared, he did not chase after it. Instead, he waited for the appearance of the 18 elders. Kill them, get the 18 Fairies medallion. I am the supreme Ji-Zun of the Fatri sect. The primordial spirit of the blood monk has great power. As long as he possessed a body, he would become an overlord realm powerhouse. If he could control this primordial spirit, Ju Daoren would undoubtedly have one more overlord realm helper, but he did not, because he wanted the 18 Fairies token more. Blood Monk's primordial spirit was flying wildly in the sky above the immortal Edge Mountain. He was very excited and shouted, Long Fei, just you wait, I swear on my primordial spirit that I will kill you. I will definitely. Not waiting for him to finish. Suddenly, an incomparably powerful surge of power directly sucked his primal into it. Blood Monk was startled, then asked loudly, who is it? Without waiting for him to react, his primordial spirit landed on the body of a half-man and a half-ghost. His face was covered with rotting flesh, and his entire body was that of a zombie. He was definitely several times stronger than a zombie. Because, on his palm, Blood Monk's primordial spirit could not move at all. The power was simply too great. It was definitely not something Overlord Realm could do. The Blood Monk trembled slightly. My lord, please spare my life. I only have this immortal soul left. I am willing to be your slave. He was trembling. It was even more trembling than the fist Long Fei received. The guy in front of him was an incomparably terrifying existence. The half-human half-corpse stared at the primordial spirit in the palm, opened its mouth and sucked in a deep breath. Who? He directly sucked it into his body. Blood Monk roared, Long Fei, I won't forgive you even if I become a ghost. All of this was because of Long Fei. However, after his primordial spirit was sucked into his body, the pupils of the half-human half-corpse shook violently. A sharp cold light flashed in his eyes and Long Fei's figure appeared in his mind. He clenched his fists tightly. Boom, boom, boom. 100,000 mountains instantly turned into ashes. The mountains turned into ashes in a second. The mountains turned into ashes in a second. The entire mountain range was shaking violently. He saw Long Fei within the primordial spirit of the Blood Monk, saw the arm guard on Long Fei's arm, saw the roaring figure of his brother, and saw his brother being controlled like a slave by humans. He was furious.
Infuriating. The 100,000 mountains turned into dust. This was an existence with terrifying power. At this moment, the half-human half-corpse let out a turbid breath. An aura wrapped around Blood Monk's primordial spirit. Next, when the spirit chi landed on the ground, it frantically gathered, forming a half-human half-corpse body. It was similar to what the Blood Monk had started to look like. Moreover, Blood Monk clenched his fists. He was extremely excited. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. My power, my power. After condensing his physical body, his cultivation had broken through consecutively and he had already reached level 6 Overlord. To break through the first level of Overlord realm, it would take several years, dozens of years, or even hundreds of years. Even then, it might not succeed. However, in the blink of an eye, he had risen by 5 levels. When the Blood Monk felt the powerful energy, he became so excited that he went berserk. He directly kneeled on the ground and kowtowed. Master. The half-human half-corpse coldly looked at Blood Monk and used an extremely crappy, hoarse voice to say, "From now on, I want you to take care of that kid with the arm guard." "Are you talking about Long Fei?" A light flashed in Blood Monk's eyes, and he said, "Even if you didn't say it, I would still have let him die. I will immediately kill my way back." While they were talking, the Blood Monk was about to rush out. However, the half-human corpse coldly said, "Do you want to die again?" Others might not know, but he was very clear that the strength of his brother in the big Master Guard arm was enough to crush 10,000 Blood Monks. The only reason the Blood Monk had such a primordial spirit was because Long Fei had yet to unleash the power of the big Master Guard arm. Blood Monk was startled, then said, "Master, then I now." The half-human half-corpse said, "You need to break through again, and I need more corpses to absorb them." "I can break through again." Blood Monk was ecstatic, and replied, "Understood, Master." Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Long Fei, you didn't expect this, right? This old man got lucky from this disaster, but this old man will definitely not be grateful to you. Right now, I have become a half-human half-corpse because of you. Just you wait, I will definitely let you die, ha ha ha. The Fatry sect will do the same, Blood Monk roared in his heart. Master, come with me. I will provide you with endless corpses. Blood Monk flew up. The half-human half-corpse disappeared in an instant as well. Secret World Valley. Secret World's mouth moved slightly. Judaeron's gaze tightened, his hands moved, the Overlord realm's strength brewed, and his mouth revealed a pleased smile. Old thing, your end is here. However, just as he was about to make his move, his expression suddenly changed. Because all 18 immortals had appeared, and none of them had the slightest bit of damage. All of them were in high spirits, and their strides were swift as the wind. The aura on his body was also extremely stable. This wasn't an injured person at all. Judaeron's heart sank. Impossible, no matter how strong 18 fairies is, it's impossible for him to defeat Blood Monk without being injured. However, the truth was the truth. Judaeron retracted his aura. His entire person also silently disappeared. 18 defense presbyters gathered in a pile and quickly dashed out. There seemed to be another person among them, but Judaeron did not discover anything. After waiting for them to exert all their strength, Judaeron moved slightly and stood at the entrance of the secret world. What exactly happened inside? He took a step inside. Standing within the secret world, he felt endless desolation. There was only the thin breath of true spirit. Judaeron frowned. Blood Monk will definitely come out after entering this place. He definitely won't stay here any longer. What exactly is the reason why he stayed inside for so long? Furthermore, his physical body was destroyed. If the 18 defense presbyters wanted to escape, the 18 defense presbyters would definitely not be able to stop them. Judaeron did not linger much longer and turned around to leave. It was also at this time. An elder of secret sect descended and said, "Mr. Celestial, when young sect master wakes up, we won't be able to suppress the devil in his body anymore." The secret sect was personally established by Judaeron. The elders and disciples of the secret sect were all absolutely loyal to him. A few elder of secret sects also knew about what happened to Ju Yuan. Judaeron frowned and stopped thinking about the desolate secret world.
but said slightly, "Send someone in, let's see what's going on inside. Also, look for the corpses of the 3 grandmasters from Bloodsea sect." The elder of secret sect quickly nodded and said, "Understood." Boom. 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 At the back cliff of Saints Hill, in a unique secret room. Ju Yuan's hair was like blood, and her pupils had turned into blood-red pupils. Rays of red light flashed in the entire secret room, and the entire secret room was filled with the demonic energy that could crush everything. "Ah! Ah!" Ju Yuan roared angrily. I didn't lose. I, Ju Yuan, definitely wouldn't lose. Ah!" The failure of the sword competition had caused the devil in his heart to be unable to control himself. The devil thoughts in his heart grew crazily, and were about to burst out at any moment. If they were to erupt, then a calamity would appear. If he failed to transcend the tribulation, Ju Yuan would be reduced to ashes. Rumble. The 4 elder of secret sect S were blasted away by the demonic aura coming from Ju Yuan's body. Having lost the suppression from elder of secret sect's body, Ju Yuan's body moved, directly jumping out of the sword pool, and stood in front of a elder of secret sect with a step. "You overestimate yourself." A palm slammed down. Elder of secret sect simply could not react in any way. The head was instantly smashed apart with a single palm strike. When the other 3 elder of secret sect S saw this, they immediately wanted to run out. However, their speed was simply too slow when compared to Ju Yuan's. Boom. Boom. 2 palm strikes landed, and 2 more elder of secret sect were killed in an instant. There was only 1 elder of secret sect left, young sect master. "Don't kill me, don't kill me, don't." It was also at this time. Ju Daoren said heavily, "Yuana, stop. Humph. Old thing, do you have the right to command me?" The corners of Ju Yuan's eyes went cold. The devil idea in his heart had not been crushed because of Ju Daoren's appearance at all. Instead, it had become even more frenzied. "If it wasn't for you, how would I, Ju Yuan, lose? That 10,000 Seas Lord of Sword Peak was killed by my sword a long time ago." Boom. As he spoke, he killed the last elder of secret sect with a palm strike. Ju Daoren squinted his eyes and a ball of anger rose from his body. It was not because Ju Yuan had killed the 4 elders, but because the devil will in his body had already reached an uncontrollable extent. It could explode at any moment. The demonic tribulation was imminent. Ju Daoren's heart sank, and said, "Seems like we have to make a move earlier." One day and one night later. One day and one night later. The celestial residence of Fatri sect. The immortal clouds were ethereal and the cranes were flying. This place was like a world of immortals. This was where the 18 fairies lived. The instant Long Fei opened his eyes. The 18 immortals instantly surged forward. "Little ancestor, you've finally awoken. You scared the hell out of all of us. A day and a night. I was really afraid that you wouldn't wake up, my little ancestor. Where does it hurt? What do you want to eat? Just say it, all the dragon meat in the sky is for you." The moment 18 fairies saw Long Fei waking up, they were extremely excited, even more agitated than their own father had when he woke up from the coffin. Long Fei was no longer Long Fei. To the 18 fairies, the holy abyss ruins that Long Fei was currently using was the strongest thing he could rely on. Long Fei moved his right arm, and the intense pain disappeared. The pain in his body had also disappeared. Originally, after leveling up, his attributes had recovered to their peak. However, because the power within the Great Master was too strong, and he awakened the power of 3 ancient demons, it caused Long Fei's mental energy to almost be unable to hold on and he fainted. He had slept for a day and a night and was now fully recovered. Long Fei looked at each and every one of their concerned eyes, and said, "I'm fine, I made you all worry." 18 fairies heaved a heavy sigh. Grand Defense Presbyter said, "It's good that you're fine, it's good that you're fine. If something were to happen to you, then we would have committed a great sin. Yeah. You are not ordinary now. The power of true spirit that you released is several times stronger than that of the Holy Abyss ruins. You are now the supreme divine treasure of the Fatri sect. Now you are our little ancestor." 18 fairies said at once. Right now, they wished they could hold Long Fei in their hands. As long as Long Fei was around, the Fatry sect could flourish for another 10,000 years. Long Fei laughed. Grand Defense Presbyter said, Long Fei, can you tell me about the heavenly beasts? Long Fei said, when I was in Holy Abyss ruins, Zhu Yuan wanted to kill a heavenly beast. I coincidentally saved the heavenly beast, and then he merged with my body. If not, he would not be able to explain the matter of the breath of true spirit. As expected. This Zhu Yuan brat. I knew that kid had a bad mindset. A few times, a demonic thought burst forth from his body. If his cultivation speed is too fast, it'll be easy for the devils to invade. He's actually trying to kill a heavenly beast, just a little bit more and the Fatry sect would have been destroyed by him. A few of them spoke out, feeling extremely dissatisfied with Zhu Yuan. Long Fei did not mention anything about the 9 stars entering his body, nor did he mention that the heavenly beasts had already left the universal realm. Great senior brother, this matter cannot be let go like this. Yes. Zhu Yuan is the mighty young sect master of the Fatry sect, and he ignored our warnings to kill heavenly beasts. If not for Long Fei, the calamity would have arrived for the Fatry sect. Grand Defense Presbyter said, I will definitely get an explanation for this matter from Zhu Daoren. Long Fei, there's something I want to ask you. Long Fei looked at Grand Defense Presbyter. He did not say anything. Long Fei had already guessed it, and said, if there is a need, I will use the power of a heavenly beast for the disciples of Fatry sect to cultivate. But I also have a request. Zhu Yuan is not allowed to enter. Then it's over. I want my brothers here. Whether it was Su Su, Lan Mai or the others, they were all in a dangerous situation. Grand Defense Presbyter immediately said, no problem, I will have some people arrange it. He didn't think that Long Fei would agree to it. His heart was filled with gratitude. And then, Grand Defense Presbyter looked at the other 17 immortals, who nodded at the same time. Grand Defense Presbyter took out 18 small, thin fairy order S from his bosom and said, these are the things that I have promised you from the beginning. 18 fairy order. These 18 fairy order were the Fatry sect's sovereign rights, and their combined powers were even more powerful than sect master. Other than these 18 fairy order, there was also a set of mysterious absolute arts that the Fatry sect's ancestor had coincidentally obtained from within the ancient world. After all these years, not a single person within the Fatry sect had been able to comprehend it. My absolute art. I'll give them to you today. 18 fairy order S were placed in front of Long Fei. These fairy order were extremely important to their 18 fairies. It could be said that they were more important than their family members, but now, they had passed down the fairy order to Long Fei. Firstly, to allow Long Fei to wield supreme power. Second, to rope Long Fei in. After all, Long Fei was extremely important to the Fatry sect, an indispensable person. And then again, Long Fei's super talent might be enough to comprehend the ultimate art of fairy order. If that was the case, then Fatry sect would have to start a new era. Even if it was the God's tribe himself, he might not be able to match up to the absolute arts that the ancient world had brought out. Long Fei also did not refuse. He glanced at it and said, then I'll accept it. An absolute art in the ancient world? Let alone an absolute art, even ancient inheritance. Long Fei had one. He really did not think much of these absolute arts. However, Long Fei needed the authority of the 18 fairies token very much. Grand Defense Presbyter's heart relaxed. Long Fei accepted the fairy order and the others' heart relaxed. If Long Fei did not accept it, then Long Fei might have to leave Fatry sect. The Grand Defense Presbyter smiled faintly, and said, all right, then we won't disturb your rest any longer. We will immediately settle the matters that you have instructed us to do. This is the current residence, it possesses the Fatry sect's most powerful martial arts. You can do whatever you want with it. If there's anything you need, just tell me. In an instant, Long Fei felt that he had become an emperor. Long Fei waved his hand, all right, you may go. The 18 immortals quickly departed. Long Fei sat on top of the bed, his eyes looking out, and thought about what would happen next. since he stole Mr. Celestial's limelight, he will definitely not be able to tolerate this. He is an Overlord realm powerhouse. Overlord. Long Fei secretly clenched his fists. Thinking about the great battle that had occurred between him and the secret world, he felt a lingering fear in his heart. To kill an Overlord realm powerhouse was simply too difficult. Judaren's cultivation was even stronger than the Blood Monk. Even with the fusion of the big Master Guard Arm's superpowers, Long Fei did not have the confidence to kill Judaren. I still have to become stronger. It's a hard-hit level, Long Fei secretly said as his right hand moved. He touched the 18 Fairies badge that was placed on the bedside and felt an icy aura seep into his body. His heart suddenly tightened. Suddenly, an exclamation mark was suspended on a fairy order. Her? Long Fei was startled. NPC? Mission? Or what? Long Fei moved and clicked on it, and the system immediately sounded out. Ding. In the game, only NPCs with quests would have a yellow exclamation mark. Normally, clicking on it would trigger a quest. In the game, only NPCs with quests would have a yellow exclamation mark. Normally, clicking on it would trigger a quest. However, a small token was also an NPC. Obviously not. Can trigger a quest. I don't know. Long Fei clicked on it and immediately produced a notification sound. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for triggering the Oatutsuki Hagoromo spatial quest. Mission. Passed the Oatutsuki Hagoromo's test time, infinite. Reward. The inheritance of the Oatutsuki Hagoromo description. The mission is independent and cannot be rejected. Ding. Mission accepted. Ding. System prompt. Do you wish to begin the challenge? The system repeated its instructions, causing Long Fei to be a little confused. Damn, this, what is going on? Oatutsuki Hagoromo? The heck, ancient world and Oatutsuki Hagoromo? System, are you sure you're not mistaken? Oatutsuki Hagoromo? The supreme existence of the Shadowfire world. Is also in the ancient world? Or could it be that the fruits planted by Long Fei in the world of the fire ninjas had taken root and were about to bloom? The inheritance of the Oatutsuki Hagoromo. F***CK. Plop. Long Fei heavily swallowed his saliva. If I had all of the inheritance power of the Oatutsuki Hagoromo, then the destructive power of the world of fire ninjas. Damn. Long Fei gulped his saliva down. He looked even hungrier than a naked beauty. Immediately, the idea moved. Begin. And at this moment, buzz. Long Fei's figure was instantly sucked into a strange space. This space was not other than on the moon. Long Fei was secretly startled. Damn, so powerful. The moon. You knew. Then that blue planet is Earth. Long Fei saw the other side of the blue planet with a single glance, and his eyes shone with excitement. What kind of challenge is this? Let's go to Earth first and pretend to be strong before coming back. I wonder what era the Earth has reached now. I don't know if there's any action movies left. Long Fei's idea moved and was about to fly out. It was just that. Rumble. With his head hitting the barrier, his scalp going numb, Long Fei held his head with both of his hands and took a deep breath. Hiss. Damn, this is so painful. Using his hands to feel it, he discovered a transparent boundary. Boundary formation? Long Fei pressed both of his hands onto the boundary, using power. Explode for me. A mere boundary wants to stop me. Do you even know what realm I am in now? How can a fierce person from another world be stopped by the boundary? However, with his strength, the boundary did not budge an inch. Long Fei stared blankly. Damn, it can't be. Did the people on Earth start to train too? Can such an awesome boundary already be set up? I don't believe it. His right arm moved. Big Master Guard arm. Break for me. Rumble. 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 The power shook the skies and spread out for 1,000,000 kilometers. In the dark solar system, waves of power shockwaves appeared and the boundary also started to shake. However, it did not break. At this moment, somewhere on Earth, Chief, There's a huge energy shockwave from the space station. It looks like a person is standing on the surface of the moon. A man dressed like an ancient man. Immediately, a blurry silhouette was seen striking the air. Beside him, a man in military uniform said, "Uncle Jiang, are they from another planet?" No cultivator on Earth has ever been able to achieve such a feat. An old man's eyes narrowed as he shook his head. It doesn't look like an alien. The uniformed man asked, "Then who could it be?" The old man shook his head. "I don't know. If you want to know who is standing on the moon, only one person would be able to do it." The uniformed man's expression secretly changed. "Holy Maiden?" The old man nodded. "I'm afraid she's the only one who can see everything on the moon. China. In a valley. One of them was dressed in white and had a country-like appearance. His eyes stared at the night sky as he muttered, "Is it you?" Boom. Boom. Long Fei continuously struck with his fists, but he was still unable to break that barrier. Actually, even if Long Fei were to release all his power, he would not be able to break it. That was not the boundary, nor was it a barrier. No amount of force should be able to penetrate it. Damn you. Hoo. Long Fei panted heavily. "I can't even pretend to be powerful on Earth. I just want to let the people on Earth know that there's a god in the sky." He was extremely tired. Long Fei looked at the blue earth, rubbed his nose, and muttered, "Wait, this daddy will definitely go back." Then, Long Fei turned around and returned to his original spot. The idea moved. Let's begin the challenge. Buzz. The system rang out in his mind once again. Suddenly, Long Fei was sucked into the depths of the moon. It was also at this moment. The scene on Earth returned to normal, causing huge waves. The beautiful lady in white also trembled slightly. "Did you leave? Big brother." Rumble. 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 The moment Long Fei was sucked in, before he could even react, a ferocious beast pounced on him. Without giving Long Fei any time to react, it directly tore his body apart. Ding. System notification. Failed to clear the level. F***CK. Long Fei's limbs danced wildly. He was so scared that he broke out in cold sweat, and sat on the side of the bed, his clothes all wet. Looking at the fairy order in his hands, he couldn't react at all. What happened just now was like a dream. That test. That's called passing the trial. At that moment, Long Fei even thought that he was dead. It was too hard. He felt his body being torn apart, and the dark corridor was like a prison. The roaring and roaring inside were all kinds of ferocious beasts, and could even be from the alien creatures that were imprisoned inside. That kind of creature was even more terrifying than Universal Realm's divine-level demon beast. Even if it was the Universal Realm's divine-level beasts, they would not be able to instantly kill Long Fei, and he would instantly be torn to shreds without any time to react. It was too difficult. Hearing the noise in the house, a few defense presbyters immediately rushed in. "Little ancestor, are you all right?" was completely drenched. Their eyes narrowed. "Is there any pain in your body?" "This is a 9 revolutions Holy Spirit pill. It can help you recuperate. Hurry up and consume it." He took out the divine-level pill generously. Long Fei waved his hand and said, "I'm fine." Then, looking at the Oatuchuki Hagoromo medallion in his hand, he asked, "Who's this fairy order?" The elder said, "It is mine." Long Fei said, "When you held it, how did you feel?" The elder said, "It's nothing, I'm just cold. I can't feel anything." "Oh." Long Fei no longer asked any questions and instead looked towards the other 17 fairy order, and muttered in his heart, 18 fairy order, one represents a type of inheritance test, then these 18. Damn it. If all of them are cleared, then Laozi will be rich. Let's see what the other fairy order are. Let's see what the other fairy order are. Long Fei moved, holding on to the other fairy order. Strangely enough, there was no yellow exclamation mark, nor was there any system prompt. Long Fei was startled. Could it be that there is only one fairy order that has a mission to pass the trial? Or do you mean we can only activate the next piece of fairy order? Long Fei consecutively tried out a few fairy order, and it was the same for all of them. He didn't trigger any mission, and his heart trembled as he thought to himself, forget it, come one at a time. Let's destroy this piece of fairy order first. And then, Long Fei moved, open. His body once again entered the fairy order S. He landed on the surface of the moon. It was also at this time. Somewhere on Earth, Long Fei's blurry figure appeared once again. Chief, it has appeared. It's very strange. The space station is very close to the moon. Logically speaking, the image that was transmitted should not be so blurry. The elder said with his hands behind his back, maybe it's because of the interference from the energy. An operator said, Chief, should we let the Hidden Dragon Institute take a closer look? The elder said without any hesitation, don't go near him. His strength is not something that the cultivators of Earth can handle. It's better not to offend him. The operator said, I'm worried that the powerhouse from other countries will make their move. According to the news from the space station, someone from North America has already sent the mutated powerhouse to the moon. The old man coldly said, ignorant, ignorant. They simply do not understand the power of the powerhouse. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Waves of explosions struck Long Fei's eardrums, making him feel extremely uncomfortable. Who? Long Fei was calm. At this moment, a beast covered in mucus pounced towards him. A sharp light flashed in Long Fei's eyes, and heavily shouted, Big Master Guard arm. Within his right arm, the sound of metal clashing became even more violent. A punch flew out. However, this punch, it was as if he was blasted into the swamp, completely dissolved and absorbed by a soft energy. The groove on the beast's head was motionless. That punch of his didn't even manage to strike out, it was completely done in the air. Long Fei was overwhelmed with shock, even an Overlord Realm boss would not be able to do that. Damn, how can a creature on the moon be so powerful? Then weren't the powerhouse of Earth. Hualala. The moment the mucus moved, it immediately wrapped Long Fei's entire body. Immediately, Long Fei's body felt like it had touched sulfuric acid, and melted in an instant. Huff. Long Fei rushed out of the fairy order once again. This time, he was sweating profusely and sweat profusely. His mind started to tremble uncontrollably as he never knew what fear meant. However, he was truly afraid of the scene from before. That place. It's a prison. The creatures inside, the heck. Too damn strong. Long Fei did not know how to deal with it. Seems like the inheritance of the Oatutsuki Hagoromo is not good. However, I'm not afraid of losing, I won't die anyway. I'm going all out. Immediately, Long Fei moved, and rushed in again. Hualala. Ah! Long Fei screamed out in pain and died once again, infinite revival, infinite death. He wasn't afraid of losing. He was afraid that he would be terrified if he lost. Death was terrifying. Even if they knew that their death could revive them, the process of death was unbearable for everyone. Every time he returned to the universal realm, Long Fei felt like he died. To his surprise, the feeling of death was very familiar, as if he had died many times before. Again, Long Fei kept on trying. It's Yuana's fault. I will definitely teach him a good lesson. This time, I'll have to trouble you with threat. Zhu Daoren smiled with a face full of respect. He didn't dare to say anything disrespectful to Defense Presbyter. This confused Grand Defense Presbyter. Zhu Daoren didn't have this kind of personality. When did he become like this? Grand Defense Presbyter said in a faint voice, Young Sect Master Zhu Yuan's identity. Zhu Daoren immediately said, I will remove his identity as the Young Sect Master. He has committed such a big mistake, it's time for him to stop being a Young Sect Master in front of everyone. The Grand Defense Presbyter nodded, and said, This is good, it can also calm the anger of the disciples of Fatri Sect. Yes, yes, yes. Zhu Daoren nodded his head, Junior Master, the marriage between Yuana and the Holy Maiden was set by Junior Master with utmost care. There is still a month's time. In order to not delay Yuan-Er's cultivation, I want to speed up their marriage by 1 month. Do you think that will be okay? Hey, Grand Defense Presbyter was slightly stunned. Zhu Daoren looked at Grand Defense Presbyter, and said, I would like to invite you to be the master of the marriage. The first person that came to Grand Defense Presbyter's mind was Long Fei, but that day in Saints Hill, the Holy Maiden had clearly rejected Long Fei, so she probably did not like him. He had spent his entire life cultivating and protecting the Holy Abyss ruins, and he didn't have much love for girls, nor did he understand what the girl was thinking. Thus, the Grand Defense Presbyter nodded his head and said, "That's good, Zhu Yuan is wrong, but his talent in the way of the sword is undeniable, so this time gathering of heroes should be able to obtain a good result. Maybe he will be selected by the Sky Sect of Ling Clan." Zhu Daren's eyes flashed with joy, and he said, "Martial Uncle, then you agree?" Grand Defense Presbyter said, "It's useless for me to agree, the most important thing is for the Holy Maiden to agree. If she agrees, I am willing to be the master of this marriage." "All right." Zhu Daoren was excited in his heart, and said, "The Holy Maiden will definitely agree." Grand Defense Presbyter said, "Then you can handle this matter. On the day of the wedding, just inform me at the Immortals' mansion." "Right. I want to ask you for a few disciples." Zhu Daoren said, "Martial Uncle, please speak, I will definitely do as you say." Grand Defense Presbyter said out the names of Lan Mai, Su Su, and Tan Dapao. Zhu Daoren immediately agreed. When the Grand Defense Presbyter walked out of the 10,000 temples, a pleased smile surfaced on Zhu Daren's face. "Hey. The Immortals' residence is hundreds of thousands of miles away from the Saints' Hill. As long as the information is kept secret, no one will know. Ha ha ha. As long as Yuana passes through the devil tribulation, even if you 18 old fellows can defeat Bloodmonk, I do not need to be afraid of you. Ha ha ha." Zhu Daoren laughed. As for Long Fei, he didn't take it to heart at all. Rumble. Rumble. Damn. Just a little more. Long Fei slapped his thigh, and with a loud smack, the beast was almost killed by him, but he was still not able to stop it. Just a little. Again. After a day and night, Long Fei had no rest nor sleep. He had been trying to break through the trial the entire time. Now that he finally saw a glimmer of hope, he would definitely not let it go. At the same time, the United States' mutated powerhouse had already landed on the moon. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.